Are we live? Are we live? Do I need to move my microphone closer to me, maybe? Because that's not where it normally is.
Wait, we're live? That happened so fast!
I know, because I was ready.
Oh god, I haven't even done a tweet.
No.
Sorry, stream. Please, it doesn't bother me.
There we go. That's a little bit closer to me now.
Get some chicken. Get some arrows.
Right. We're actually somewhat on time.
Unheard of. It's a Christmas miracle.
It truly is Christmas.
It's Christmas Day, sir.
Sure, let's go for this vibe. I nearly tweeted without putting the link to the stream. Good job, me. I forgot my one job. Oh, I also forgot to tell you, but my chair's doing that thing where it slowly sinks. So you'll see over the course of the stream I will get lower and lower and then I will go all the way back up and over again.
Hilarious.
Let me bring up the stream for
For-
purposes of moderation.
To clarify for the stream, Spook is once again here. He is playing Minecraft next to me, so you will get sporadic Minecraft commentary. And of course, as it says in the bottom of the screen, thank you so much to Besso for the lovely music.
Fox.
I'm so glad I wasn't. I didn't have my mic on for that because I once again forget to to mute my laptop.
Oof.
Just kill the fox.
Right. Give me the chat. Give me chat.
We are here.
There we go. Whoops.
Hello! Hello there.
Hello, hello. Hello, people. Blue is gonna start doing warm up. I have not picked a warm up. I'm normally more prepared than this, but not this week.
Explore the reaches of the page. Get used to moving the
Oh my
arm.
god, that was so lucky.
What happened?
We had one egg. I was like, fuck it, see if I get a chicken. Bang.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Rock. Yeah, this chicken is gonna get stuffed.
Well, that's what the turkey's for.
Why don't you stay a little while? While we hold on to the thoughts we share. Let us watch the rain go by.
Okay, I need to adjust this ever so slightly. Move away the dice. I may need these, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh? Ooh woo?
Oh,
You may need dice?
that good dice ASMR.
Yeah. Yep, my dice chest isn't within reach.
We may need those. I have technically. So the goal today is to potentially start creating a new character.
Hey!
And I was given permission to roll stats, so I have got some stats.
Hey!
'Cause
Oh
I've
my
got-
god, I get to see you roll terrible stats live on stream!
I've already got the stats, I say.
Oh shit.
I was given. I've pre-rolled the stats because that was like the main thing that was limiting me. Because people were coming up with
right.
things for their characters, and I was like, I can't commit to anything because I don't know what stats I've got to work with.
Right.
I don't want to commit to some weird triple multi-class if I've got like garbage stats, which I tend to
I've
do.
made that mistake so many times.
I tend to get garbage stats, but this time I did okay.
Yeah.
This one,
Me, you.
very
Garbage
firmly
stats.
did okay this time, which I'm pleased with.
Hey! Got some highs, some lows. Got some peaks and troughs.
Yeah, yeah. Got
Yeah.
a high, got a negative. So I got the fun, a fun negative to play
Yeah.
with, which is always fun. Though I've noticed my tendency for characters to make charisma the negative, with the obvious exception
It's fine.
of Delmara, with strength being her negative.
It's fine.
But it was plot relevant in the end.
Yeah. I think the unofficial theme of the stream is we're going to be a bit self-indulgent today.
Oh, fuck, it's a phantom.
Self-indulgent OC things.
I'm gonna take a dive.
This is a warm-up, but this would be my whole day if I chose to do this. Choose an instant from Homer. That would be my whole... Adapt the tale to suit your purposes, but don't recite the original story. I could do that from a book.
Your own
Is
interpretation.
this a whole section about the Iliad and the Odyssey? Get the fuck out of here.
Nice. It's written for you.
Yeah, I have read this whole thing cover to cover, but it was a while ago.
Did you appreciate
Oh,
the
this
meme
is
I
about-
sent you?
The what? Yes, I did. I very much did. It completely blindsided me, but I appreciated it a lot. Every so often, someone, one of you guys will send me a meme about an interest I forgot you knew I had, or that I knew you knew I had, but I didn't expect you guys to meme about it. And I'm like,
Don't think so if they die by fire.
takes me legs out. I did this one last week.
Oof, that's a lot
I
of...
can't find one that isn't gonna take me forever.
Hey, Kay! How's it
Hey,
going?
look who it is.
I think we're doing pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Spirits are good.
Spirits and
I'm not energized, but I'm feeling good.
don't give a fuck.
Simply happy.
No.
And DMCA.
That's it. Goodbye, everybody. Oh yes, I'm doing this one.
Oh, go on with it.
I just googled writing warm-ups because I was lazy, and I found a writing blog, and I was like, sure. And one of them is just... They say to pick someone from the news, but I have enough characters to do this with anyway, and it's just write a half-page monologue as if they were soliloquying to the audience. That's my warm-up today.
Brilliant.
Self-indulgent monologue.
Nice. Actually, that was a soliloquy, so you're the one who's being rude.
You're interrupting. Where do I... Every week I forget where I put my warm-up folder. There it is. Random soliloquy. This is atonement for the fact I was watching The Chase with my dad earlier, as we all want to do, and I got a Shakespeare question wrong, which is unforgivable in my dad's eyes.
Girls! Yeah,
In my
letting
defense, so did the Chaser.
down.
In my defense, the Chaser also got it wrong.
Oh, really? Wow, that must have been an
Yeah.
obscure one. If the Chaser got it wrong. Normally they're
It was
pretty
just a
up on
quote that
Shakespeare.
very much sounded like it was from one show, but was from a different show. It sounded so much like a Richard III quote, but it was a Julius Caesar one. Yeah, there are certain... when watching quiz shows, which are always on somewhere in the house in here, there are certain subjects that are associated with certain people. So if my dad gets a question about golf wrong, everyone gets really... It's like, no, you can't get that wrong.
Birds.
I also got one, do I admit to this? I got one right earlier. My dad was like, how the fuck did you know that? It was about, early American history, and I was like, Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
It was the answers, I can't remember the question, but the answers were George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. I'm like, well, it's the first three presidents. It was, what was the first president to live in the White House? And I was like, well, it wasn't George Washington, and Jefferson's the third president, so I'm gonna go John Adams. And he was like, how did you know that?
See,
I was like,
that's
there's
the
a
sort of
musical
stuff
about it.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that for like people who are more over in America like tend to know because they learn that kind of stuff. Obviously, we learn more about the British monarchy, so things like the American presidency do not come naturally to us.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, fuck's sake.
I mean, I just didn't remember when AJ put having a duel, like a proper old naval duel in her campaign. And I was like the only person who knew what was going on, and they were like, "Why do you know this?" And I was like, "Hamilton."
It's such a shameful thing to be like, I know this from a show.
I know this from Hamilton.
I also got one that I knew from a different musical. Wow, did we have 2 in the row then?
Yeah, we did. Oof.
I was like, didn't I just delete
Yeah,
that?
I looked at that and I was like, it says you deleted it, but it's still there.
It's still
And I
there.
realised the username was different. Oof.
Small streams. It's rough.
Hate to see it.
We do hate to see it. Right. Monologue. I've got so many choices. I think I do.
So you can see that, but I like raised my eyebrows at you, and then you went, "I think I know." It's almost like you were saying it into response to me, but I know that you can't see my
I
face.
couldn't see you, yeah.
I was just like,
Cluster. Hello, Das. Speak of the cluster.
Hello, the cluster growing stronger.
Me and Das were talking last night, and we had like I think 3 or 4 separate occasions where we said the same thing at the same time, and it really frightened me. Yeah, like a lot. There was a lot of times that happened. We're doing good. How are you? Oh god. One of which out of context? Oh no. Yeah! I will not explain the context for that. Absolutely not, and you
Fair
shouldn't
enough.
either, Das.
Fair enough. Today, I don't know why I just remembered this, but today I had the joy of explaining this new derogatory meme that has popped up on Tumblr to Spook.
The one that you made was very funny and very good.
I'm glad some people found it funny because I did it at like midnight and I was like, it was funny in my brain.
I encountered it very far down my dash and I was like, heh, this is good. Okay, monologue. I can do this. I do this of my own volition all the time.
Also, Des, I feel like I need to point out that the one that I reblogged about the longsword was not targeting you because you responded to it. It was a Monster Hunter meme.
Yeah, I saw you do like 2 different, like obviously the first half had been done and there's different people had
Yeah.
done the other half and I was like, this is a Monster Hunter community
Yes,
thing.
yep. Longsword user derogatory. Yeah, there it is. That's the campaign.
That's the campaign.
That's the campaign. Your Highness, derogatory.
That's the game that I'm running. That's mine. I forgot I have more Liebkuchen. Now it's a Christmas stream.
Oh heck. Eee. Nom. I want to say I stole Christmas biscuits from work, but they were legitimately mine. But that was one of the last things I said when I walked out the door when we were like, well, I guess that's it for the year, we're breaking up for Christmas. I was like, I'm stealing these biscuits. They were my biscuits.
I do shit like that all the time though.
enough, Das. Oh no.
Oh, babies.
Let them in. It is winter.
Okay, I understand. And I support you, but don't make yourself ill. Okay, unlock. I can do this. You have no D&D stress eating as an excuse this time, Kay.
Yep, not allowed.
When me and you stress eat a whole packet of biscuits on D&D, it's one thing. To do it of your own volition is something else.
Talavi there like, a god, derogatory. Do we have anything in that campaign that we can, think fondly of?
This is what I have done.
Because it's longsword derogatory, hunting horn honorific. What the hell do we have in that could be honorific?
Yeah, hurry, honorific.
That's it.
I have one, but I'm gonna have to type it out because.
Fucking hate animals. I have all this space
Wait.
to fucking run around in. I come in to do some bloody work.
Welcome to another edition of. Is this something that exists only in my brain, or have I communicated this yet?
Right.
I think yeah. No, I have. I've misspelled every single word in this.
Amazing.
Impressive. You're welcome, chat. You're welcome, people in Okart in chat.
Fair.
That's my boy.
I mean, the problem is that it works for so many, titles in your game. It's just
No one read into that.
general. Derogatory.
Depending on context, is because technically Flare is also.
That's fair. To be fair, it sounds like
But generally derogatory.
quite a few NPCs would refer to Flare as derogatory. Right, circles, done. Moving on to lines.
I was too busy memeing.
Honorific! Endearing.
I don't know if there's anyone who's not in Okart in chat, but good luck.
I'm willing to talk about my game, but only through the context of memes.
No one can ever know the plot of Okart. We will never stream it. We will just make consistent memes about it, and people have to keep up. You didn't have to specify who Tala was targeting there, Dad.
Nope.
That's just in general.
That's just in general. I just thought that the Bob's Burgers meme. That's
Oh my god.
That's
I have
Tala.
realised the meta meme.
You know the Bob Burgers meme of I'm going to complain the whole way. That's Tyler with we have to restore the monarchy. Okay, but I'm going to complain the entire time.
I have realised the meta meme for Tala. It's this. We did it!
Oh god, how do I even begin to decipher that? How do I begin to explain that to people?
You don't. You just don't. No one knows what's going on, you know, least of all me. Okay, I'm doing a warm-up, I promise. I'm gonna be quiet for a bit. You guys meme among yourselves.
Oof, that went totally askew. Change my position at the table. Totally messed up my line.
Hey, thanks, Das.
Aww, thank you.
I used to
Ooh.
have the tiny.
Slight connection issue there. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Hello? Oh. I used to have the, no one knows what the DM is doing, least of all the DM
Oh,
saved
yeah.
to my phone.
John Mulaney for all your DMing needs.
Come on, internet connection, stay with me.
Yeah, I can tell yours is flagging because I can hear myself through your headphones like a good 5 seconds after I finish. Looks like we gotta add decent internet to the list of stuff we gotta get for Carl's.
Unfortunately, that's not possible.
Yet.
Tried. Unfortunately, I live in the woods. So no internet supplier will give me more than, I think the record we've ever found is 30 download.
In this day and age, Jesus. I mean, I know there are people that have it a lot worse, but I'm just used to it being higher. Because I've lived near cities.
So am I. So am I. Hey, Nemo.
Hello.
Hey, nice one.
Oh, dope! Awesome! Affiliate squad! Whee! What's your first emoji gonna be?
Cthulhu bombing a T-Rex.
And the stream got taken down. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Bad,
Goodbye, everybody.
bad. What's your language?
There wasn't any bad language in there. There's another chicken outside just mocking, you know.
It's because you have a very regular stream schedule. It took me like, what, 3 years to get? And in the end I really only got it because I had that raid of like 300 people. And that made Twitch like boost my numbers, and it was like, oh, you're affiliate now, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
It's actually a very useful warm-up because I chose kind of a weird thing to do it on, and it's really helping me. I haven't thought about this character in a little while, and like it's really helping me get their current state of perspective in order.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
I think so. Yep, pretty much. Connor, isn't it? Is the character name. Connor turned up in my stream and said, "You get an affiliate."
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, because everybody's brain melted. Thank you, Nemo!
Thank you, Nemo.
You do not have to
Yeah, it's been
subscribe
fun.
to me. But
It's
thank
been
you.
fun. Every time Jesse finishes a Final Fantasy XIV stream, he goes into the Final Fantasy XIV category and goes like as far down as he can go until he
Aw.
finds like someone with their webcam on who's got like 8 people watching, and like he's like, yeah, that's the one I want.
Oh, bless.
And
That's
every
so
time
sweet.
it's just watching someone melt
That's so sweet.
because it's normally about 2,000 people. Ish. It's just like, oh god. Normally he tries to find people who have done story bits that he's just done so he can be in chat and like freaking out with them. It's good shit.
Aw. Good vibes, man.
Being in raids with big streamers, like in big streamers, not like massive streamers, but you know, like Dodger and Jesse and stuff like that. Being in their raids is really wholesome. Because it's usually like a pretty decent amount of people who stick around and watch the fallout.
It's good, isn't it? It's just so basic. It's just basic, isn't it? It's just...
Oh, Nemo. Thank you for the
Aw.
gift sub.
Aww.
I have access to the Awoo.
Awoo! Gotta get the awoos in chat to say thank you to Nemo!
Many awoos.
Awoo! That's what it is. It's the big awoo to say thanks for the subs.
Yeah,
Aww.
big Awoos.
I got 11 subscribers now, Nemo!
Stangy's never gotten an awoo. He's no longer your friend.
You got an awoo! Nemo gave you an awoo!
What does that mean?
Because you're in
Tier
chat.
what? We're on tier 4, you twat.
No, we're not. We're in tier 3. Get it right. We're not in London.
London.
Aww, Nemo.
She just doesn't love you as much as every other people told us.
If he comes into the stream, he can get the awoo!
It's effort.
Awoo! Oof. Big oof, Kay. Real big oof.
All of the love.
Yeah, when that news came out,
and,
I did
and the
think
feels
of
bad
you.
man.
Yeah, I did think of you
Yeah,
when that
me
news
too.
came out. I was like, ugh.
I was like, that's rough, buddy. That is big, it's rough, that's rough, buddy. Energy,
Oh
actually.
god, it is.
Mwah.
Okay, we're getting there. Whoa, hello. Archer asshole took a pot shot. What a prick. What an asshole. I might as well turn this into a case. There we go. Right, so we've got
Surprise, that cave wanderer is already in the game and they didn't tell you.
At this height.
I was more just making a joke. It's a real good piece, Daz. As soon as I saw it, I was like, good feels.
Oh yeah, I know, Nemo. I've been released. I've been released from my my NDA.
When did you know about this?
Oh, I'll tell you. A long time ago. I was designated secret keeper,
Ah.
I was missing one little tool.
as I am for many such things. Nemo. I've known about this for 2 months.
2 months, wow.
Don't worry about this.
I didn't write it down, Nemo. We have a Discord chat history. Which is basically like writing it down. I wish I bloody was right now. Ow! Don't know why my Windows notifications were so loud just then.
Ooh, Jesus.
Okay, that's a lot of Star Wars memes. And a lot of them are probably the same ones. Oh, easy. You literally get claws, yeah.
Means nothing to me.
Absolutely.
That is unfortunately
Yeah.
in the big stack of games I do own, but just have not played.
I did not know you owned that game.
Yeah, it is the unfortunate thing of people buying games of like, buy this, you'll like, play this, you'll like it, and I'm like, I sure I will.
It's
But
like,
I'm
I will, but I won't play it right now.
But I'm still
I
not
am
playing
the
it.
same.
Southwest
I am the same.
Yeah, listen, like The Witcher is in that category as well. The game was bought for me because it was like, you'll like this, and I'm like, okay, haven't played it.
I have, my brother bought me all the Witcher DLCs for my birthday, which was very sweet of him. And I made it all the way to the last quest of the main game, and I was like, I don't want to finish it. So I just haven't touched it since.
Not too far. I can fit my thumb on the screen between the distance between.
No Mando spoilers in chat. Not because I'm watching it, but just because it's relatively recent, so don't
Yes,
spoil.
it's fairly recent and people watch it. I am not one of said people, but I know that others do
No,
not
no,
like
mate.
it.
Holy fishing.
No spoils.
No
Good,
spoilies.
good chat. Good chat. Pats. Good chat. No spoil. This I'm not doing very good at warm up, but I might just leave it and move on to something else. I don't know which of the self-indulgent things I want to do today.
I mean, last week we said that this week would potentially be the character creation week.
Yeah, I'm up for that, if we want to do that. I always end up writing out backstories anyway, so...
So mine will be
that would
more,
be a writing
mine will be
exercise.
more visual because honestly, when it comes to backstory, most of it is already made, as Das knows.
yeah.
Because in this instance, it is a character for one of Das's games.
Oh, right, it's the one we were talking about last time.
Yes.
Right.
Which you were
See you, Nemo.
ecstatic about. I told you.
I,
trash child.
Yes, I was very pleased.
There is a spot of grass that keeps going completely
I-
black, but it's got some kind of lighting error.
For the shits and giggles, might, just to join in the OC stuff, might make my Inquisitive Rogue, like, actually come up with, like, her name and shit.
Name is a big one that I need to do.
Yeah, we can confront that beast.
Bye, Nemo. Enjoy your beans.
Enjoy beans.
Nemo and the boy at 6 a.m. making beans.
Beans! Yes, I will probably join in that, and if we have more time afterwards, I might write some self-indulgence Dragon Age fanfic, because everyone in my immediate vicinity has started replaying Inquisition. I don't know why, or has started playing Inquisition for the first time. I'm like, I didn't expect this, but I welcome it. I don't know why you've all been possessed to do this at the same time, but okay. I'm also replaying Inquisition, but I'm constantly always replaying Inquisition a little bit.
2 more things. Is it weird that I'm
I've told you before, Curls, that replaying Inquisition is not a personality trait.
Isn't it? What else do I have? If I don't have that, what do I have, Blue?
But honestly,
Then it's just me and D&D and God. I've just been assassinated. I need to leave.
double kill.
I think I should go.
Oh, I got you with that one.
That was the most like effective character roast I've ever had. That was like efficient. Is it all because I streamed Inquisition that one time? I don't know.
Who knows?
3 days.
I've learned that I'm very easily influenced, in that if I watch a YouTuber or a streamer or even someone on Twitter play a game, my brain immediately becomes like, hey, maybe you should play that game.
That's why I've been dying to play Final Fantasy XIV for the last 3 months. And he's been sending me pictures of her Final Fantasy XIV character, and I'm so jealous.
I'm content with Guild Wars because I do not have to keep paying for it.
Yeah, that's real.
Okay, we are ready to receive
And the story is good. Doing the Living World 2 at the moment.
Yeah.
Living World 2 is good. I'm still blown away by that freaking ley line that I just freaking walked in on.
Yeah, that you just randomly found.
Just like, hey, there's a ley line down here, don't trip.
Don't die.
Yeah, I did a bit more
Remember to drink
today,
water,
actually.
kids.
I did a bit more today, and it's very, very sort of typical thing of, like, at the end of the ley line they found this machine, and it was a bit that I discovered before the story point revealed it, and that's why I was like, I love environmental storytelling, because I could tell what it was. It was the machine that drove the bad guy from Living World 1 insane. She went in it and she saw what they...
Oh, I remember you told me this.
Yeah, because I was probably
We
with
were
you when
playing
I
Guild Wars
found
the
it.
other day.
Yeah, playing Guild Wars the other day. Apparently she goes into the machine and like gets funneled with energy from the ley line and sees what is referred to as the eternal alchemy or something. And so the scientist character of your party, of course, is like, well, we have to find out how it works. So they just walk into it. So the entire group, of course, is just like, no! So your character is the one who dives in after them to pull them out, yanks them out, and then, of course, the door slams shut, and then you are inside the machine. And I literally stared at my screen of like, oh no. And then there was a very trippy sequence where I was just like, oh god, oh dear, what is happening? Is my character about to die? And then it's like, you come too, and they were like, oh thank god, we managed to get you out of there in time, and I'm just like, oh, I think I just saw God.
You know, like you do in MMOs.
Yeah. I think I just saw God. And everyone's like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know.
Right. Am I making a character? Sure. I have my character master post, which is just a document I have where I just paste like super basic outlines for characters, is 5 pages long.
Oh, basic. Basic outline.
Yeah. No. Yeah, very basic. How many characters are in this? Glory's in here, so I should probably cross that one off, huh? I've done that one. Did any of this change? Basically, no. Apart from obviously I found Faith and Destiny's dead. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Gross. Yeah, how many characters? Well, some of these are like, I have the character and then there's like 2 different versions of them, so I guess they count as 2 different characters. 2, 3. Some of these I used for one-shots, and then... So there's 3... Hope and Faith are on here, they don't count. They don't count.
I've drawn an angry floof.
Yay. Look at that angry floof.
Basically, like, however many years ago now was, 5 or 6 or probably 7 at this point, because the passage of time is scary. Basically, as soon as I started playing her on Ashgar, I was like, when she gets angry or defensive, she fluffs up like those owls do.
She floofs, yeah. Like those owls do.
You know if you see it where they basically.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Where they bring the wings out, because I was like, well, there's fluffing up, but she also has wings, and I was like, wings is a big
So she does
volume.
both the bird and the canine fluffing up.
Yeah, so it's like the ridged fur on the back, but also the wings becoming just like a fan.
Yeah.
It's like,
There are 8 characters on here that I have never used.
oh,
I
interesting.
counted. I have a sorcerer that's got an AU a warlock version in case I need it. I have a paladin or a cleric, depending. I have a trickery cleric. Another warlock. Oh, this is not including my warlocks. There's a different list.
I see.
That enchantment wizard from my LARP dream.
Oh yes. we worked out for me it was a
She's
warlock.
on here. Yeah.
Worked out for me mine was a warlock. We should do another stream where we like make the pair of them together.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think
I have
I got the impression that maybe she's a celestial warlock now.
That would make sense.
Because I wanted to play one for a long time, and an early version of Kika was a celestial warlock. But obviously it was like, well, there's literally a fae right here that you can have as a patron. And I was like, I
Yeah.
kind of can't ignore that story plot point.
I've always heard that she's an enchantment wizard, but she's an enchanter. That doesn't necessarily mean
Not the same thing.
that she has to be an enchantment wizard.
Yeah.
So
For
Yeah,
me,
I have a-
for me, you were literally like some kind of spellcaster, charismatic,
yeah, merchant.
merchant,
Yeah.
and then another key one was leather armor, and I was like, I'm so dumb.
Yeah.
There's only one class in the game that fits that. the only one that is charismatic, can wear leather
It's warlock
armor,
time.
is a warlock.
Obviously, I would dream warlock stuff. Obviously.
Of course.
I also have a fire genocide. I think this is also a warlock. Yeah. I mean, she could kind of be anything. She's more of a character than a class. I have another Elandrin that's not the one I'm playing. That's a Horizon Walker Ranger. And then this one I'm gonna make. I'm just gonna put her name down. In my head, I've always just called her Vera, but that's definitely not her name. And she's I do actually know the class. She's an Inquisitive Rogue. Which is crazy.
Making big decisions.
Yeah, Inquisitive Rogue, like, just fits so well for her character. That, like, it's perfect, but also Inquisitive Rogue gets nuts. Inquisitive Rogue gets nuts if you actually read it. Where is it?
Let's get the
Here we are.
books.
This is a D&D stream now.
This is the D&D book stream. Let's have a look.
I wish you could list yourself in more than one category on Twitch, because this is both an art and a D&D
Yeah,
stream.
this is art and D&D. I can put D&D in the tags, I think.
Hey,
I can put character creation in the tag, I think.
I have no reason for chat. I have no reason to do this apart from I've been thinking a lot about this character. For some reason, I am not due to be in anything. Just disclaimer. Blue is actually due to be in something and thus needs to make a character.
You say do. The current estimate is 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, like, but you have precedent for doing it, whereas
Yes.
I absolutely do not.
Well, this is a very, very rare instance because I have a million character concepts, But
Yeah,
I very
that's basically what I'm doing.
rarely go further than that because I generally think in my brain that I need something like stats to go on with, and I can't roll stats without a DM, because if I roll stats and make a character, if a DM then goes, oh, make a character for campaign,
We do it point by.
they'd be like, oh, roll your stats now for me because so I can see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna roll stats for this lady. I'm just gonna go with a vague character profile.
So I have stats to work from, so I can actually go a little bit further into creation.
Yeah.
As I sort of said earlier, story-wise, most of the story is sorted out. This is literally more the actual mechanical things that need working
Yeah.
out. Inquisitive.
Yes. So you get ear for deceit, which means you can never roll less than an 8 on insight.
Okay, so that's basically a reliable
You-
talent at level 3. which is
Reliable talent
powerful.
insight. Yep. Also at level 3, your bonus you can make perception and investigation checks as a bonus action instead of an action. Also at level 3, you get insightful fighting, and basically that's what that whole thing works around. As a bonus action, you can make an insight check against a creature's deception. If you win, you have advantage on attacking them for a minute.
Oh.
So you get sneak attack on them for a minute without needing to like
Okay.
hide or have an enemy adjacent. And that just gets crazier. Because then it goes to Steady Eye, which is you have advantage on perception or insight or investigation if you move no more than half your speed on the same turn. Which I think, depending on the DM, might mean if you're not in combat, you, as long as you're not obviously moving, you just have advantage on perception and investigation all the time.
I guess, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
basic rogue has supreme sneak, where it's like if you have advantage on stealth
Yeah.
if you move half your movement. It's like, well, if you're out of combat and you just walk slowly, you'd have advantage
Yeah.
all the time.
And then Unerring Eye at 13th, which is as an action you can sense the presence of illusions, shape changes not in their original form, and other magic designed to deceive the senses within 30 feet. You don't know what it is, but you sense that it's there. And then 17th level is just there to be like this to the DM, which is basically if you've won your insightful fighting roll, you get an extra 3d6 on your sneak attack.
I mean, at that point,
So that means that like at that level, that means your sneak attack is 12d6.
I mean, at that point, if you're a level 17 rogue, you're already giving the DM the finger.
You're already ridiculous, yeah. Yeah, it would make your sneak attack roll 12d6.
Wah! I mean, yeah. I mean, it's level 17. You know, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Let's commit.
Yeah. But honestly, like, I think I just love the like allure of this class that's kind of insight and perception based, but it's not a wisdom class.
Yes. Well, it can,
You know what I
it
mean?
can- well,
Like,
it
you would
can
want good wisdom for this,
But it's
but
not reliant on that because all your modifiers are coming from your expertise. Your
Yeah.
I've forgotten the proficiency. There we go. The modifiers coming
Yeah.
from your proficiency. Because rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue is a dex class followed by a proficiency class. It doesn't matter what you have,
Yes.
as long as you have proficiency.
whatever you want, yeah. Hopefully, if I was playing her, I would want, like, the stats I want highest, honestly, would be wisdom and charisma. More than dex, almost.
That's fair.
Like, she would be a very... wisdom would be highest, definitely. I would want charisma to be a little high, but then you know what my stats are like.
It's interesting when you think about these rogue archetypes in Xanathars, actually, because you could literally think of
They're
it
all
as...
really good.
Because you could think of it as the Inquisitive is a wisdom rogue, the Mastermind is an intelligence rogue, and the Swashbuckler is a charisma rogue, basically.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
I love the Swashbuckler one. I might make
But
one
yeah,
in the future.
my Inquisitive rogue. Yeah, I want to make all of these rogues. There's some very good rogue ones in there. She's a gossip monger, essentially. She's a fancy lady who involves herself to a ridiculous degree into the petty squabbles and affairs of the nobility. So it's all big. It's all drama with her. It's all drama. I like know who I'm basing her on.
That's the one I've got.
So yeah, it's it's a fun one. She's also, I think, a drow
Around the base there.
Always
in my
fun.
head.
Baby cow and a big cow.
I have a very specific way I think this lady looks
You're leaving your child behind.
that I like a lot. Which is very rare for me.
Very good. Baby cow's following the mama cow. That's convenient.
Basically does, yeah. My she's kind of almost entirely based on like parlor scenes from like cozy detective shows. So like everyone's in the parlor and it's like some great mystery has gone and someone just stands up and explains everything and accuses people. That's her. She's based off of, to some extent, Phryne Fisher from Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, which people don't know, but she's like a noble lady who is a lady detective. She's like a PI, but all her like friends and things all get her to do things for her. That didn't sentence didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. So she ends up in a lot of like crazy rabbit holes into like squabbles between rich people. Age. God, elves and ages.
Yeah. I don't
I mean,
know,
wait, where is Xanathar's?
Yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I got into the habit of, with elves, of like, to try and put it into perspective, knock the zero off the end.
That's basically how
not
I do it.
really accurate to the
Yeah.
game, but it's kind of how I sort of visualize it
It's
a
close
little bit.
enough. Fortunately, where is This Is Your Life? They have a table for it.
Ah,
There
yes,
it
of
is.
course.
This Is Your Life is so useful.
It's so good as well, because it can literally be like, oh, based on how old you are, you should have had X amount of interesting things
Life
happen to you.
experiences, yeah.
Yeah,
Do they not have a table
life
for
events
age?
by age. 20 years or younger,
There we
1.
go.
20 to 30, 1d4.
But there's not a table for 8. Oh, I guess D100 you could use it for, yeah. Yeah, me and Kay, when this book came out, sat there for Zal and rolled some things on these tables, and
Oh, nice.
I will remember forever. What is it? Is it a 6 you have to roll on this? Hang on. Where is it? Hang on. Huh. Da-da-da-da-da.
I love that one of the tables is just called Weird Stuff.
Weird stuff.
Ah,
Love that
yes,
table.
number 7. You went insane for X amount of years. Who do we know who went through that?
Who would do that?
Rip.
I can't find it, but there's a table in here for how many siblings you have. And I remember my life flashing before my eyes when it's like, yeah, here we go. What did you roll? Did you roll a d6 plus 2 or was it a d4 plus 1 and you rolled max? But like, basically the sibling table goes from none, 1d3, 1d4 plus 1, 1d6 plus 2, 1d8 plus 3. Siblings.
Wow.
But like, Kay rolled really high and I was like, we're gonna have to sit here and do this. And then we did. I think that was like a 4 AM conversation, I feel. We rolled a lot of tables in this book. Me and my brother also occasionally will pull this book out and just roll a random character using these tables because it's a lot of fun. I don't think so, Das. Although I have used this for things. Hey, nice one, Kay. I'm just saying it would be really easy to make Zal and DAI because you could just make a dwarf artificer. Just saying. That's somewhere. That's the loading screen, Kay. I have the dice box. I need a D100. What dice am I using? Let's use the new one.
Ooh.
Let's use both my new ones.
Ooh.
Where's my other new? Where's the ones you gave me? The D-hundo. Where's the ones Annie gave me?
We literally were like, which one should we give? And I literally boiled it down to which dice do I think you would like, but you probably wouldn't buy.
Don't-
and I thought
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't buy this because you have one similar to it, but you do like it.
You're totally right.
But you do like it. Yeah.
It's perfect too for things.
I know. That's why I picked it out. I was like, this one. This is the perfect one. because you have one similar to it, unless you wouldn't rebuy it
I have
yourself.
the black ones, but I don't have the red ones, and these are half and half, which is
Yeah.
perfect. Because that's like the
We
whole
don't, we, don't
stick.
do, we don't do the pure red ones anymore.
Ah, good to know. Where the fuck? I cannot find this D100. Oh, is it because it's in my hand? I haven't found your D100, but I did find the Zentralis black ones, so I just call them my Zentralis dice. I've got nothing to hide.
I mean,
from
we
you
know,
people.
we know now, so.
Yeah. I always forget that you guys know. Okay, D100. Is that 26? I'm just gonna have to add a 0. 210 to 230 to 300.
What?
I kind of. This is like a coin flip scenario. I think I want her to be older than that.
I mean, I think in the player's handbook. Oh no, that's for height, not age.
Yeah.
There's a thing for height. That's the nice thing. That's the nice thing about characters. You can change it. Like Spook rolled on the height and
Yeah.
weight for his character, and he was like, "Oh, I was kind of hoping
Didn't
he would
like
be
it,
heavier,"
yeah.
and I was like, "Well, then make him heavier. It's
Add
your
it,
character."
See, I just rolled it again and got. I'm adding a 0 onto the end of these to 410 to 500, and I feel like that's a more realistic age for her to be, like, in the middle. It's like a random number that sounds good between 400 and 500.
420.
No!
Had to do it. Had to do it.
I know. 462. Done. Weapon. Now, I need to check that you can actually use these as a rogue, because I know aesthetically what I want to give her.
Why? What you want?
I want a bow.
Believe you can.
I think they can use short bows.
But you are a drow. Drow get elven weapon training.
Which are hand crossbows, rapiers, and something else. It's not longsword. It's not longbows, I don't think. It's just throwing me back to when I made Posey. It's like, how does any of this work? Rogues. Simple weapons,
elven
hand
weapon
crossbows.
I'm confusing my
All sorts of
subclasses.
rapiers.
Elven weapon training is not an elf thing, it is specifically a wood elf thing.
Yeah, you get drow weapons.
Yeah, drow is
Hello,
different.
Besso.
Oh, I see you. I see you now.
Hi, Bissell! Hello!
I've literally tabbed out the equipment table so I can the weapons thing so I can find it quicker, and I can still never find it. Yeah, Besso finally made it before the stream ends. Yeah. Before that, it's here. Maybe I didn't tab. Oh yes, I did tab that out. Simple weapons. Yeah, I can have a short bow, not a long bow. Which is fine. Short bow is fine. I have a very.
I mean, when your,
This
all,
is
your, all
another-
your damage is coming from sneak attacks, so going from a D8 to a D6 won't kill you.
No, and that's the thing, like, the kind of thought I had with this was like, well, she doesn't really need to hide a lot. So she can kind of, because she doesn't need the sneak attack from, the advantage from hiding. So she can kind of, you know,
It does lend itself well to ranged.
like,
'Cause
yeah,
this-
you can,
'cause-
I can
'cause
kind
sneak
of just
attack is-
chill at the back of the pack and
That's
not
the
have to
main
worry
thing
too
that
much about hiding.
limits a rogue generally is in order to get the sneak attack you want advantage or have an ally, so that leans towards being in melee or using hide.
Yeah.
Oh, grab this crate.
I think that's.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what I was looking for, which was just basically a pose to be like, hey, this is the reference pose, which is
Hey, nice one.
three quarters.
Messing around.
3/4 with the arm held up, so that you can get a good look at armor, basically.
Yay.
I am gonna save that for future characters. Blank Character.
Background.
Skeletons.
Template.
Template. Pose.
I always forget backgrounds are a thing.
Oh my god, there's loads. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I've
dear
decided.
God. Spook's
Okay,
having fun.
what's happening? I think I've decided if when I run another campaign in Amazius, I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff based on like country that you're from, either for background or race. Mess around with that some, but that's a future project for me. Here we go. I always forget what's the books with backgrounds in. This, Sword Coast.
There's a
No?
lot at this point in time. So
Yeah,
I've
there's
I've
many.
started to get into the habit of using a website which has just all of them listed.
Have all of them listed. To be honest, Noble will do on this, but History Persuasion. Does Sandfall have backgrounds in?
Potentially. Unfortunately, some of the campaigns like have custom backgrounds.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's fine.
Talus is
'cause
one
no-
of those.
Yes, I remember. I always remember what Talus is because it always freaks me out.
Which
It's a good
it
one.
freaks you out.
The background feature on that. I always have to keep it in mind when you meet new NPCs.
Look, it basically just boils down to mechanically it's the same as
You
the,
have seen some shit.
the background boils down to you've seen some shit, but mechanically the buff that it gives is the equivalent of the folk hero. But the folk hero is like, this person is strong and we want them as our friend, whereas for Tala's background is
They feel sympathy for you.
Tala's background is, this person is strong, we do not want them as an enemy.
Yeah.
It's the same but reversed. There we go. I think this is the one that I tend to use mainly because it has all the skill proficiencies listed. So if I'm looking for, for
Hey,
a specific
thank
combo,
you.
if I'm looking for a specific combo of proficiencies, then I use that. And some of them also have specific languages, but I think again those are more campaign-specific ones. Of like being a clan, I suppose a clan crafter is not campaign-specific, but
Still need another can.
Yeah.
yeah, if you are,
I forget how specific
Actually,
some of these
continue,
are.
yeah, Earthspur Miner, Athletic Survival, Dwarvish and Undercommon.
Oh, I've used Cloistered Scholar before.
breathing against the white sheep. It's easier to die.
Yeah, I've used Cloistered Scholar before
Change
for...
colour, like if you put black on a blue one, it turns to a dark blue.
Oh, for Joanna. There's a throwback. Haven't thought about her in a while.
I don't recognise that name, to be honest.
Dragon Casualty!
Yeah, dragon. Yeah, one of the backgrounds is you got attacked by a fucking dragon. Which I think is from the Tyranny of Dragons campaign.
That shouldn't. That makes sense. Harbour folk. It's my IRL background. Inquisitor sweats.
I should really pop out the chat so that I can see it better. Oop, there we go. That's better. Take a sip.
I'm generator with my OCs.
Oh, I think we're experiencing connection issues again, Curls. Rip. Oh, there she goes. Hate to see it. Hate to see it. Hello?
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 My connection said I was fine, and you were like, oh, rip, and I was like, what?
Nope. You were gone. Didn't really hear anything for the last few minutes.
Oh, whoops. Did you hear me talking about the Kojima name generator?
Nope.
Shit! I was saying, I need to go through the Kojima name generator with my OCs.
Right.
Because it's actually good character development. Because you have to work out what, like, their most embarrassing memory it was, or whatever. Brian David Gilbert doing work for us, yes, once again. Ba-ba-bum. I don't need to do any of those tables because I have. They're kind of implied. I kind of know what I want.
Sweet both, isn't it?
It's like funny, embarrassing, Daz.
Ranking 2 and Power 3.
My Kojima name, for anyone who has watched that video, is The Wrong Charles, which is very funny.
I can't remember what mine was. I did watch the video, but I can't remember what it was
Yeah.
about.
Mine was The Wrong Charles. Which somehow fits me really well. I kind of know what her noble backstory is, but I will roll on the table just to see if it gives me something better. 6. I hope to increase my family's power and influence. That is part of it. That is part of what I already had. So that works. I just love these tables. They're really interesting.
I haven't looked through a lot of them, to be honest. A lot of the time I do
Like, I
just manage to come up with what I kind of want for the backstory.
Yeah. Well, backstory normally, yeah, I'm normally fine with. I'm normally very fine with coming up with backstory on my own. But like, I love the class ones. So it's like, I don't know, pick a class for me. Hello?
Hello? Yep.
Pick a class for me.
Ranger.
Not for me to be, just pick one for me to. There we go, give us an example.
Ranger. Yeah.
I became a ranger because that's a 3. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I suffer from terrible wanderlust, so being a ranger gave me a reason not to remain in one place for too long.
Yeah, that's a pretty standard one.
I roll one again. Like, this one for Ranger is sick. I have seen what happens when the monsters come out of the dark. I took it upon myself to become the first line of defense against the evils that lie beyond civilization's borders.
Ooh. I mean, that one's suitable for
pretty
a
cool.
blood hunter, that one is.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll catch you in a bit, please.
But yeah, I also like the background ones because backgrounds can be really boring otherwise. In my experience. Okay. Should I roll on the life events table just for shits? I'm getting distracted already, I know. Wait, so she's 41 to 50, so she should have 1d8 life experiences. What was that? That was 5, that was so many. I'm only gonna do like 2 or 3. 94. You have committed a crime or were wrongly accused of doing so. Roll on the crime table. The crime table to determine the nature of the offense, and the punishment table to see what happened to you. It's another d8. So in this fictional universe... Whoops, goodbye dice. I was accused of assault And what's a D12 look like when it's at home? I never know what D12s look like. Is
Is
that
the
a
odd one
D12?
out of the family?
Are you a D12? Yeah, you are. And I, 12, was caught and convicted. You spent time in jail, performing hard labour. You served a sentence of... God, where are my D4s? They end up on the bottom. There you go. 3 years. Served a sentence of 3 years or succeeded escaping after that much time. Your choice. Do some for Paladin? Sure. And then I will actually do things. I became a Paladin because... I served as a squire. That's the obvious one. A fantastical being appeared before me and called me to undertake a holy quest. Ooh, the most interesting one for Paladin, I think, is one of my ancestors left a holy quest unfulfilled, so I intend to finish the job. Which is pretty sick. I bet the Warlock ones are crazy. I just love the tables that they had to do for the life events thing. Oh my god, I just remembered me and Kay did these for Zal. I completely forgot we did that. Right. Of course there's a tragedy table. There's also a cause of death table, which is very useful in my life. I always forget there's racial feats in here.
I think quite a few people do. I always bring them up when people are like, I don't know what feat to put. My first response is always, have you looked at racial feats?
Drow high magic.
Additional spellcasting, basically.
Honestly, I think those should be the spells for Drow. The spells you get as a Drow make no sense to me. You get Dancing Lights, Fairy Fire, and Darkness.
Yeah, like darkness is the only one that makes sense. It's weird to think that a race that lives underground and has dark vision has 2 spells
And light
that revolve around making light.
Yeah, and light sensitivity too. Like, even though it's not daylight, obviously, so it doesn't count, but like, why would you... Why would you?
Dark vision means that your species has evolved to make them...
This Xanathars for NPCs is a godsend.
Means you can see in the dark.
I've used Xanathars for a couple NPCs now, actually. Well, it's not light cantrip, it's Dancing Lights, I think, is the one you got.
They've got dark vision. They still need light to discern.
Fairy Fire is useful, but...
I don't know if they might pick that up, but Spook makes a good point.
Which is?
Dark vision is not all-encompassing in, you know,
Yeah.
and colour is a big distinction and things like that. Dark vision is more technically a low light vision, really.
Yeah. And then the Drow High Magic feat gives you Detect Magic, Levitate, and Dispel Magic, which I think are also pretty appropriate. Yeah. They're not bad spells. If I was playing a Drow, I would love to have those spells because they're really useful spells. But it just seems a little weird to me.
Imagine I've made good use of them because we're sort of going with this sort of little mini plot of like she's got 2 kinds of magic essentially, one being Drow magic and one being her nature ranger magic that she has, ranger slash druid.
Right,
magic.
yeah.
She's took magic initiate with druid because in that world the Drow are very much sort of the opposite of like they're very anti nature. They're about the growth of their civilization and stuff.
Right.
So it's these two
I was gonna go-
polar opposites, which is pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
Hey. I was gonna go for the GD, looking at the just elf name tables and then modifying them until I like the sound, but really what I should do is get that elf name thing that you gave me.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that website.
And
as
use
well.
that and do it properly.
When you say properly,
name
it's
that
not like
actually
it's an
means
official
something.
D&D thing. So, you know,
No, I know.
I just like to have.
But, like,
I like it.
Construct it, you know, rather than just pick it randomly.
Yeah, because it works. In you know, they sound very elven, and it even has guides at the
Right,
top
yeah.
of like, you know, you don't have to take it for each thing, each what it is, so you can swap things
Yeah.
around. And
Prefixes, okay, here we go.
Already, we're not playing the
There's also a table, so you can just
I know.
roll on it if you
No, I'm
want.
talking to Curls about her elf name.
Yeah.
But all of you to assume I'm going to have a character name.
Me and Blue gets character name about 20 minutes before the session.
Yep.
Yeah. That's very
I've
true.
chosen this
That's
one because
very
it
real.
reminds me of the ripples on the water and the leaves in the forest. I like Derek.
I either know when I'm making the character what their name is, or I up an hour until I pick something random. Glory's is literally straight from the book.
Fair.
Like in the suggested tiefling names is Glory. And I was like, sure.
See, I spent a long time thinking about names, but at least when I have a name that I'm settled on, I'm like very happy with it because I put so much thought
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. See, Glory's like worked out in like a fun poetic kind of way. Posy's name I love. Posy has a great name. One of the names are bad. Marin. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with names. I'm okay with names. I need a piece of paper. Come on back, don't fail me now. Thank God. I'm stealing Posy's pen. And the piece of paper on which I'm... my Stardew Valley checklist has got much longer since I last spoke with you.
I bet.
If anyone wants to come on and just help me collect hardwood, I'd appreciate it. A lot of the stuff they added is like late game stuff, and that's where I'm at on my like main one. So I was like, oh, thank God, I'm nearly done. No longer.
Absolutely not.
Well, it would make sense if her nickname is Vera, that V-E-R, is the prefix. It means peace, which was also appropriate.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna do a version like this and see if I like it. And then if I don't, I might do a couple versions with V-sounding suffixes and mess around like that.
I don't know if it's of interest to you, but lower down the page there are some drow specific ones. I actually didn't use them when I made my drow. Mine uses the elven one. They have harsher.
Oh shit, you're so right, yeah.
They have harsher sounds to them.
They literally have one that's Veer.
They're more prone to using like K and X's in their things and V's.
That's fine by me.
V's and Z's. They have harsher consonants.
So that one means peace. There is a drow specific prefix which is literally Veer. It means dark or darkness.
I appreciate
Yeah,
this because
I did know that.
In
Yes.
using this table, the name I came up with was Ariash, and I said to AJ, I was like, "Oh, I use this name translation website, and it means silver bow." And one of the NPCs actually specifically uses her translated name. It's like a little.
Oh my
character-
God, that's cool
it's,
as hell.
It's a character trait. He's the only one who does it, and that's how I know immediately which character it is, because it's walking to a room and instead of someone going, Ariash, it turns around and goes,
Hello,
Silver
Silver
Bow. And it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
you. Hello.
Beautiful.
So it's a nice little detail that I really appreciate. For a while, I did the same to him. He had a name that was given to him in Drow.
AJ told you what it meant.
Yeah, tell me what it meant. So I referred to his name in the Drow form, but then he did something which basically lowered my character's opinion of him. So I was like, you don't deserve.
Greatly disapproves.
You don't
Arias
get
greatly
to have a drow name. I'm referring you to you've gone back to being referred to in common. I'm not giving you the name. Human derogatory.
Did my music end? That's not allowed. Video pause, continue watching. YouTube, you're not allowed to judge me.
What is this, Netflix?
Only Netflix is allowed to judge me. Do you know what I'm gonna put on? D&D, atmospheric music.
Damn it, now I've got to realign this.
That's what I want.
moved it.
Give me, not tavern music, generic dungeon music. Fantasy Village, that works. Royal Library ambiance. Oh, hell yes. There we go. Now it's time for me to fuck around with sounds for like 10 years.
Yeah, that plays a large part in it, of just getting, like, nice sounds.
Yeah.
Remember when I was coming up with Giga's name and I sent you that Pokemon video and I was like, this guy explains, like, Japanese sounds and why they sound the way they do.
Yeah.
So it's like, of all things, Kika's name has Japanese influence. That looks better. Perspective was screwing with my head. As it frequently does.
I apologise for talking about Dragon Age in chat.
Don't apologise.
I was nearly gonna write Dragon Age fanfic for this whole stream, so. I think after an R sound. Let's do the drow one first, because that's where I'm at. Oh god, and she's gonna need a really fancy sounding surname too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surnames are fun.
I always want to go for. Oh, goodbye.
I don't know what
I
that
keep
was.
nearly saying it was the notebook I was writing in. I'm working with like the world's tiniest strip of desk space to put on an A4 notebook. I keep nearly going for a sound that's basically the Vir de Thal, which is something from Dragon Age. Unfortunately, DA has a lot of V sounding elven words, so I'm gonna be like Valataline, be like, oh god. So my brain goes straight away. Let's start with meaning. So if that means dark.
My lord. Messed up the angle here on this.
Virema is one, maybe? Rema.
Okay, let's go with
That would be appropriate. I'm just like Vera Lynn, that sounds really good, but then A, it sounds like Vera Lynn, as in the person that existed, and also Oberlin, which is Vera from Monster from Surname.
You're right.
This is the real hard thing for me about names, is finding something that isn't that isn't like something already that I've heard. Viratar is a good one. Viaria is a nice one. Vibrina is a lot. Vibrina is a lot. Virus is a pretty... At that point you're at Virus. Just sounding it out.
Mm.
Do you still hear me alright? Or you're probably
Yeah,
focusing
yeah,
on
I'm
what you're
listening.
doing? I'm just making sounds, so that's fine.
That's mainly what it is.
Viedra. Viedra's a good one in this context.
It's weird
I
to
like
think now that
Viedra.
like Kika's name was tossed up between Kika and Kiku because now Kika's.
I
just,
remember
like-
me and you making a variety of bird noises in
Yeah.
Discord call.
Yeah, Kiku I think was the second one. Now it's just
Yeah.
so settled as Kika. It sounds weird to
Well, I
say it.
remember you had two, and neither of which were Kika, and then I was like, why don't you just smush the bits
Yeah.
you like of those two sounds together, and we ended up with like 4 different ones, and then some of them were really odd.
Sorry, I just got distracted because I've just looked over at Spook's PC, who is watching the YouTube channel Lockpicking Lawyer. But the video is of him.
I know that one!
But the video is of him sawing a safe open, and I'm like, that's an interesting lockpicking method. Using a bandsaw.
There are some really good lockpicking channels on YouTube. That just test various locks, and they make
That's
it look
supposed
kind
to
of
be a secure
disgustingly easy.
safe.
Yeah, I can see that with the saw.
It's a bottom of the range circular saw though, and it's just
Yeah.
I hate that I know
to put
exactly what
pressure
YouTube
into
channel
it,
Spook is
it just-
watching. I think this is the guy whose videos are normally less than a minute long, and it's like, hi, we're gonna do this lock, and then he just does it really quickly, and then it's like, okay, that's a test.
He showed me one where somebody sent in a lock that they'd had to have a locksmith look at, and the locksmith had been like, "Oh, I hate this guy," and it was like, "He'll never be able to do this. So if he can pick this lock, then I'll refund you the money for having me call out, which was like $75 or something." So he sent the lock into Lockpit Lawyer, and he went through the whole explanation, and then he put on the timer, and he was like, "Right, this guy thinks I'll never be able to do it." 30 seconds.
Yep. I've watched this guy before, he's great.
And I was like, wow. That there is.
This is also
your
the one-
expertise.
I think he either made or found a lock for like Ben and Jerry's tubs as a
Oh, yeah.
joke for his wife,
And she cut open the bottom.
and then his wife just cut the bottom. Mwah, beautiful.
I loved that one because that's like peak barbarian. It's like I didn't say is the door locked. I said I opened the door.
The door.
Is that phone?
fire insulation. That's a safe. That's why he cut through it so easily. That's the metal bit. He says that is thinner metal than you'll find in a filing cabinet. So what is the fucking point? You want a safe to be metal? Can't cut
I mean,
through
it's
that
good that
little-
it's fire resistant, but yeah, there's no point of it being surrounded in tin foil.
Yep. So I think the objective that it usually goes for is it more expensive to get into the safe than the stuff that you're going to keep in the safe? And you know, if it is, then that's fine. But if you can open it with cheap stuff, then no point in having it.
That putting that prefix and suffix together, I just made a Latin word.
Really?
Can't remember what it means, but I know that's a word in Latin.
Nice.
Yeah, what does it mean? feminine form of... Yeah, I know that. What does it mean? It's the feminine plural of veritas, which means respected, revered, feared, or dreaded, depending on context.
Wow.
It's like the opposite. Yeah, I was like, okay, Via is great. And I was like, ite. I was like, verite? That's a Latin word. I think that's the name of a character that already exists. Oh no, it's not. It's not R-O, it's O-R. No, that sounds terrible. I once again ended up with a similar sounding thing. Hmm. I feel like this is already a name. It is not, thank God. Okay, that's a strong one. Still on the first name. I have two. I have one that I've made from the Drow stuff, and the one that I've made from just the normal Elven stuff. I've got Virali or Virdra.
Ooh, both very good. Based off what I know about the character, I'm leaning towards Virdra.
Virdra is a pretty good one.
It does sort of put me in mind of quite this elegant.
Yeah, there's a kind of
elder.
regality to it.
Yeah, I guess maybe because it's slightly reminiscent of like the name Deirdre. Or Deirdre. I
Deirdre,
suppose.
yeah.
Deirdre, yeah. So Vir leans into it.
It also has a very fun meaning. Yeah, let's work with that for now. Going with Virdra for now. Again, like, her nickname is Vera, so like, that's the vibes we're going for. I've just spelled that wrong, haven't I? Nope. Lady Virdra. Yeah, has a good Lady Virdra. To the surnames table. Now I have to think about her family.
You're the one that came.
Now I have to think about her family. Well, that's the second half. I found the suffix before the prefix. That's a really hard suffix to get into a sound.
Okay. We'll fix it together. I'll race you.
That was actually easier.
Hmm.
If I'm using the drow table, I'm gonna look at the normal elven one, but I know what her surname is if I'm using the drow one. I mean, if I use the drow first name, I should probably use the drow second name, huh?
Yeah, I have to. Like I said, I'm technically using an elven one. I'm using an elven
Yeah.
first name and a drow surname for that character, technically.
Oh, interesting. They have a suffix that means the same thing as the one that I used from the drow table, but it sounds better. Excellent. Oops. In my handwriting, if you put a T and an L next to each other, it looks like an H. That's what I've just learned.
It's amazing how it takes
He
like
caught on!
it's amazing
He
how
caught on!
it's amazing how it takes like 2 strokes of like, oh yes, the very distinctive fringe that apparently is being passed down through generations, because it is. Because Delmara's father had it and Delmara also has it, which is the sort of distinctive 2 dual spike fringe that they have.
Always remember those sweet.
With one side being shorter and the other side being longer.
That we once had.
I'm now at the hard part because I'm at the part that I don't know what I want.
Talk it out, talk it out.
Which is a hairstyle is where we're starting now. Don't know what hairstyle to go for. Don't know if I want long, don't know if I want short.
I mean, draw both and see which one you like more.
Yeah.
Kind of if you want, Das. I will
It's
not
up
be
to you,
around
it's up
later
to you,
because I have
dude.
to go to bed straight away after this. Because I have to be up so early.
Oh, hello.
Friend.
Oh, is it time to start?
It
Hey,
is.
Kels, did you remember to take your meds?
Oh, fuck.
Used to recall what was before.
Take your meds.
Without a doubt, I thought together we'd belong.
Always remember to take your meds, kids. And if not, you have a friend who can remind you to take your meds.
Sweet memories that we then had.
I don't know if that med went in my mouth. I like threw it into my mouth and I was like, I don't know if that went in. Hopefully it did. Because these ones are so tiny. They're so small. Compared to like these ones, which are massive. Take your meds.
Take your meds. Thank you, guys.
All the suffixes that I like, are really hard to put a prefix before. Without it making sound like it's 3 names.
The same song every week.
Oh yeah, I've already done that. This is surname I'm working on, Des. First name I've more than covered. I've got her like formal first name, her like casual, the name that people actually call her. It's like the thing is because she's a lady, her last name is important.
Ah.
See, the drow one was okay, but then the same meaning in the normal elven one doesn't sound right.
Mwah. Good night.
Nice boo.
She has followed you.
See, what would this one be like? This is the longest goddamn. This is how I ended up with Tia Nasna on the Aliel.
Oh, is it?
Not exactly this, but more or less.
Right. Excuse me, stream, because you're going to see my mouse moving around and nothing happening. That's because I'm looking through hair ideas and references.
Like, I've made this full surname that I like, but it's... I don't even know if I can say it. Areva Undlin would be the full thing.
Areva Underlin.
Yeah. So the full name would be Virdra Areva Underlin.
That works well.
Which sounds like 5 names, but is actually 2.
Yeah. That's typical elf names for you. Gotta get them apostrophes
Yeah.
in there.
The other one is much shorter. The other surname I like is how would you say that? Ostlar? Ostlar? Ousstlar. Ostlar?
Ostler, maybe?
Virdra Ostlar? Is a good one. Both of them, all of them mean cool things. So that's what's really important. Ostlar, I feel like sounds like an actual name that you can say.
It's fair.
And it's also the drow one. Also, then her full name would translate to Dark Lover Heir to Mystery.
Wow.
Which is pretty sick.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah. Heirs to Mystery, I think, is a great meaning for a surname. The other one is also cool, though. Areva Underlin translates to Blood of the Lover's Kiss, which is also sick.
That's pretty sick as well. Oof.
Areva Underlin is like a normal elf one. Ostelar is like a drow one. If you can tell from the TL sound.
Yeah, I figured it because it is slightly harsher sounding.
I wonder, let me look at the Revost.
Because that's a DM
Revost.
question.
Hello. Maybe. It's up to you, to be honest. I've always assumed that that was the full name, but
Hello!
middle names are fun lore, so do what you want. Let me see, because some of them it gives you like more than one version of it. Oh, they don't on this one. That's annoying.
Meanwhile, Tala's here like, you guys have 2 names?
I gave Tala another name.
I know! She was
I had to
being,
give Tala a
she
surname.
was being the ultra
Both her surname and her title?
it's kind of a title now, I suppose. She was
Well,
the
I
ul-
suppose she kind of has a different title now, huh?
she was the ultra edgelord
Whoops.
because she was like, I don't have a family name because I don't have a family anymore.
Her family.
So I only have
That's like,
I only
yikes.
have a surname, and it was like, oh god, careful, you're gonna cut yourself.
The edge, it's too much.
Yeah, so now she has been given a surname,
could.
which I think is fitting for her, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do not
What's the
scratch the
drow
check.
version of this? Yeah. Middle names are just fun, like real life fun lore. Finding out someone's middle name is like, if they have one, is like a fun little.
Tidbit.
Yeah, it's like it's a dumb one. Choose a middle name for Thane? That's a lot of pressure. I would have to like think about this for a while, you understand. Don't say that. You've seen the names in my campaign, Daz. The thing is as well, you Onderthorn babies are so risky because I have no limits on how it should sound. Because there's so many... Like, I don't have to choose, like, a human-sounding name. Because there's all kinds of people up there. I'll think about it, Daz. See, what's the different version? Orvriandolin? I'm going towards Ostelar, Lady Ostelar.
See, I'm trying to ignore my preset things because this is something that is totally only applies to me, which is that my homebrew world has a town called Estelar, which is really throwing me off.
Which is throwing you off.
But literally, that only applies to me because
It
it's my,
only
it's my,
matters for
it's
you,
my
yeah.
homebrew. It's my homebrew world, so like, I'm trying to ignore that. I'm like, you can't name somebody.
See, you
that
shouldn't
because
have told
there's
me
a
this
town.
because now I'm just going to do it to annoy you. It has almost like a Germanic sound to it. I kind of like it.
It's the ust sound, isn't it?
It's us, yeah.
Ust.
Ostala. I like that. God knows we know that I love a bit of like. Gah! That's my eternal mood, Das. That's how I've lived my life for the last 6 years. Yes. So you have to find, if you can find the blueprint, you can make a higher level version of it, Das. Also, they repeat some designs on higher level gear, so don't worry about that.
I need to top up my water, so feel free to speak.
I
to
will
the
chill.
chat. Yes, Hayley.
I am actually going to write at some point on the stream, I promise.
Mute the microphone.
Oops, I unmuted myself to crunch, and then muted myself to talk back to him. Now Blue's gone, we can talk about Dragon Age in peace. Yeah, you can make gear. It is in places, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm constantly clicking the stick in for Siege for loot. Not so much anymore because you can import your blueprints across for New Game Plus, and I have all the blueprints as far as I can tell. Hey, nice one, Kay. This was nearly going to be a stream where I wrote Dragon Age fanfic. Because everyone's playing Dragon Age around me, so I just want to write fanfic about my canon Inquisitor. Because I love him, and if I don't get to see him again, I'm gonna cry, probably. Especially if I get to see Dorian and not Nick. That's not gonna feel right. Compared to what? Like, only because one of which you've encountered in-game and the other one you haven't yet. You're comparing a story that exists to a story that doesn't exist yet. And also, like, so much can happen that, like, yeah. See you, Kay. If I don't hear from you before, have a good holiday or as much as you can. I will be around if you want to vibe. Yeah, I'm excited. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's a... Yeah, I do love that everyone around me is playing Inquisition at the moment because I'm used to vibing about Inquisition on my own. But yeah, OCUT stuff, I'm gonna go back to doing OCUT prep after the other side of Christmas. In that week before Christmas and New Year, that's gonna be big OCUT time for me, I think. Just to keep me sane, if nothing else. Just gonna go hard on it for a while. I've had enough time to, like, pick up all the mess of cables and kind of clean some of it out and go through all my notes and reflect on some things. Yeah, I don't want to say too much. I'm changing the way I think and do OCUT prep because reflecting on all my notes made me realise I went from a way of doing things to going away from it, and that's when I started to get weird feelings about the way I was running OCUT. So I'm going to try and go back to the way I used to prep for OCUT, which is more work, but it's more rewarding, I think. Sadie wants to make her presence known. Alignment for this lady? Chaotic good. That's not even hard. I make so many chaotic good characters. What are the alignments of the other characters I have in here? Chaotic good, chaotic neutral, lawful good, neutral good, chaotic neutral, true neutral, chaotic neutral, neutral evil. God. True neutral. Anywhere between chaotic good to neutral evil, probably chaotic neutral. Jesus. This is about all my chaotic, like my neutrally characters go, apparently. But then to be fair, Marin was chaotic neutral, I think. Or true neutral. I think she might have been true neutral, actually. Yeah, the Eldritch Energy is so good. Right? Like, I'm amazed at how well that works out. Especially... You'll see. You'll see, is what I'll say there. Opening mission of Scouts v Soldiers. Who do you think Thane picked? I feel like he charged with the soldiers. Because it's... Going through the scout with the scout, saving the scouts is like the I'm gonna save everyone choice, but it also means more. Yeah, it's the save everyone choice, but it's also the more people on the front line die choice.
Hello.
So it's a good beginning choice. Hello.
What are we chatting about?
Dragon Age.
What did I say
did
earlier?
I did talk about Oakheart for a little bit.
Okay.
You just caught the 2 bits of Dragon Age we did at the beginning and the end, and the Oakheart in the middle you missed. Also, she's chaotic good. I decided an alignment. Because I think that just makes sense. She's trying to do good. She's trying to make everyone's lives better, but she does break into people's houses to do that.
No, that sounds about right. I went and made tea as well as getting water.
Yeah, I thought you were gone too long to just get water.
But I also got biscuits.
Hey.
Biscuit break.
Yeah, that makes sense, Tess. Okay. I already know how this lady looks, but I should probably write it out.
I didn't answer your question, Das, but I think I have you on my auto host list, I think. So even if I'm not around, my stream should host you.
Yeah. That's, I think, true of what I've seen. Oh man. This lady is one of the cooler, like, designs I've come up with for a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how aesthetically she looks. Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say something, then I realised I can't say that. If this lady ever met Tala, it would not end well.
Oh dear.
Not just because she's a no woman, but because part of her design, basically she doesn't have, like, her arms stop just below the elbow, and she has prosthetics that are made of silver. That are really, like, ornate, like, prosthetics. And I'm just picturing her, like, gently putting her hand on Tala's arm and just being like, "Ah!" Yeah, just get like a burn mark on the arm.
Yeah. God, imagine if they were like actually trying to fight. Jesus.
Yeah, it's helping you up from being prone.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah, but also like, what if they were trying to fight each other? Because obviously Tala quite frequently tries to grab onto people and grapple them. So as soon as she's like, well, I'm going to try to break this grapple, it's like, well, you put a hand on it and immediately it's just like, gaff!
Yeah.
And then it's like, cool, well, you'll grapple it, so make a strength check for the grapple, but also make a con save for the burning.
For the silver, yeah. Yeah, backstory on how I came up with this character element. Remember last time we were talking about that fairy tale rewrite I did?
Mm-hmm.
In that story, she loses a hand, and just like as a random element, I gave her like ornamental silver hands as part of the story, and I was like, shit, that would be really cool on like a D&D character, like if they had like silver prosthetics that look like gauntlets almost. And I went from here. But they're mostly just pretty. Like they're not designed to be gauntlets. They're meant to be kind of, you know, pointed on the ends and just kind of ostentatious and gorgeous, embossed silver. As much as that's not a very practical metal to make something that gets that much use out of, I just think it's pretty. She has like, in my head, she has like tattoos that are also like a silvery metallic. She's got like dark purple skin that kind of spiral round her arm until they get to the point where it becomes the prosthetic. She's very cool. I like her a lot. What is happening? I see a little diagram and some question marks.
Yeah, I don't know. Thinking.
What are you trying to work out?
Hair direction. So basically, when it
In
comes,
what way?
so basically, when it comes to the hair, there's only one real thing that I want to keep in, which is the distinctive fringe, the two-part
The fringe
which is at the
yeah.
front, which is, you know, so for people on camera, it is essentially like this: is one long
Yeah.
strand with a shorter strand on the either side, and it's offset to the left. Damara's hair was literally just long with the side split, so it was the side split with the short bit and the long bit, and then coming down the back it was basically just long hair either side with like a long bit that came over her shoulder, so it was long hair, the ear pokes out the side. That was Del's hairstyle. So my current thought is, well, should I go shorter in this one? So I've gone for the short hairstyle. And currently, because hair is being awkward, the diagram is basically trying to be, instead of having the parting. Hello? Hello? Knocking? Hello? What's the matter? Excuse me, I'm being summoned.
Yeah, I was like, you are definitely being summoned right now. Hello, chat. It's just me and you again. Well, they don't really ornamental hands, they're prosthetics. Oh, thank God. Oh, oh, very noisy baby. What's going on?
Welcome to owning a cat.
I thought I had a sense, I had a suspicion.
Cats, what can you say?
Yeah.
What can you do?
What can you do? Anyway, hair. Yes.
Yeah, so the old one, the parting was basically all the way towards the back. So what I'm currently wondering at the moment is, instead of having the parting go all the way to back, is essentially having the two front bits go to the side, and then just having the entirety brushed back almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the back part of the hair kind of doesn't have a parting almost, but I don't know how to draw it. Basically, is what the diagram is like.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know how to draw it.
How to indicate it.
Yeah.
You gotta pull it all the way to a point of tension, I guess, is the way to think about it.
Yeah. It's like.
Which is gonna be a pain in the ass if she's also got a low ponytail, because then you can't see it.
Yeah.
So it's literally just gonna look like.
I don't know if I'm gonna go for ponytail or if it's just gonna be choppy at the back. I haven't decided yet.
Just like short, but just like hacked away.
Yeah, very sort
Yeah.
of like. Okay, well, I suppose one thing I should at least get written down, and I put this on another layer. And another layer. Let's get a text layer going. And another layer. Okay.
I can't remember, even though like I'm like, I don't need to write this down, I know this already. I'm gonna forget, so I should write it down.
Yeah, this is the class combo I'm currently deliberating. If we step away from the visual design at the moment, which is sort of guess what's just happening in the background, and talk a bit more about the mechanical design. So, kind of from the get-go, like before we even confirmed there was going to be a Blood and Sand 2, I'd said with Spook of like, I like the idea of because we talked about the idea of them having two kids. I said I like the idea of one of the kids being magical, more sort of focusing on the girl, because we kind of then at that point then had settled on there would be a boy, there would be a girl. Sort of subconsciously thinking of I would play the girl, he would play the boy, which is what is happening. So I sort of was going towards, I like the idea of the girl being some kind of spellcaster, because that's different to what Dell was, and it sort of ties into her original backstory of like she had a druid and a wizard for her parents, but herself was incapable of casting magic, and it was a sore point for her. So I kind of like the idea of like going against that and having yeah. I mean, to put it this way, I was so sort of set on the idea of having a magical child that, like, regardless of whether that became canon or not, the idea of the class was going to be the same, which was a Shadow Sorcerer, which was my first sort of idea, as you know, because I've spoken to Des about this. And for a Shadow Sorcerer, because like, it's innate magic that happens when you're born. The shadow magic comes from the Raven's influence. Makes sense story-wise, and it also has the whole, you know, the kid has innate magic. Dell doesn't know how to help with that because she's completely inept in that regard, so she has to go back to her parents for help. Excuse me, I'll take a sip. So yeah, and then. So I was like, oh, I want it to be a spellcaster. And then when you came forward and was like, you know, we're actually going to have a campaign for this, I was like, okay. Still thinking about the sorcerer. And talking with Spook about it, he sort of put forward the whole point of, well, you already played a sorcerer through in a lengthy campaign in the form of...
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah,
well.
you mentioned it as well, so 2 people mention it. And I was like, well, it's a valid point, you know, out of... You know, the now near, you know, there's what, 14 classes, 15 with Artificer now. If you're not including Bloodhunter and Gunslinger, which some people do, you know, technically not official classes. So you know, so you've had 4 long-running campaigns, and 2 of them you choose the same class. And I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. You know, I have a lot of character ideas, there's a lot of class overlap. It's fair. But then part of me was like, well, I like the Shadow Sorcerer aesthetic, it ties in nice. But Spook particularly was like, there's so much more you could get from it. So I then started thinking about, okay, well, what other spellcasting classes are there? And me and Spook sat on the sofa and literally went through them. He was like, okay, wizard. And I was like, maybe, I guess, you know, the father was a wizard, so maybe she learns a bit of wizarding magic. And I was like, oh, but which school would she be? None of the schools are, like, sticking out to me. And then he was like, alright, bard. And I'm like, I literally cannot picture a bard. Cannot picture it. And it's sort of like going through this whole list of like can't picture cleric, you know, can't picture bard, can't picture warlock, can't picture wizard. And I keep coming back to, like, I like the idea of the Shadow Sorcerer, but that was more of a story point than a mechanical point. And then the Druid was, of course, brought up, and Spook even said, oh, what, maybe even Ranger, because Rangers use Druidic magic, and I was like, I guess the Druid thing could tie in a bit more, because the mothers are not more forgiving and stuff. And so I thought about Druid a little bit, and I was like, okay, Druid maybe I could work with. I hadn't pictured it, but I suppose maybe I could work with. But I kept getting stuck on what subclass would I go for, and I was ending up in a similar problem to Wizard, where I was like, none of these leaping out of me of like, oh, that's what she'd be. But it was what you said last week, Curls, that actually got me thinking, which I literally looked at today. Last week you said, what
me?
about... Yeah, last week you said to me, what about the Wildfire Druid? And my response to you was, no, I'm not doing Wildfire Druid for her because I
already have a
I already have a concept that I want to explore. This Kitsune Fox character is going to be the Wildfire Druid that I want to go with. So I'd written it off. And then I came back to it. Literally today.
Gotta.
literally today I came back to it and I was like, okay, well maybe I shouldn't write it off, because part of me was like, you know, everybody's saying, you know, don't overlap, you've already played a sorcerer, but I was like, if I have 2 wildfire druids, who's gonna shoot me? You know, I can make as many characters as I want. So I looked back at the wildfire druid and that was when I got the thought of, okay, maybe we could get a little bit of reskinning going on here. Of like, I like the shadow sorcerer, but you know, probably a good 80% of that is the aesthetic of it.
Well, yeah, you get the shadow puppy.
Yeah, the shadow puppy.
I have played a shadow sorcerer.
Which I will point out is a 6th level thing. So if I know you said earlier, Dad. Dad? God.
Got ya.
Happens a lot.
Take a shot, everybody.
Yeah, take a shot. Sip tea. Yeah. So yeah. No, it does. I'm still in the process of talking you through my thinking. I'm still talking you through my thinking. So yeah, so the shadow dog is kind of the main thing that you want from a shadow sorcerer. Let's be real. Like if
you want shadow sorcerer, you want the dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me get shadow sorcerer up again. Because your thing, that was that you could have anything level 3 and below. The shadow doggo is level 6, so that's out of the thing anyway. So shadow sorcerer, you get Eyes of the Grave, increase your dark vision.
Yeah.
You low darkness. Fine. Yeah. I guess.
And also, like, the aesthetic is like good, but it's very shadow fell.
Yes.
Rather than just like
same.
Shadow dark.
Yes,
you know,
which is not the same thing. And then strength of the grave can kind of work, I guess. When damage reduces you to 0 hit points. You know, say on a saving throw you drop to 1 instead. That's it. And I'm like, okay, neither of those are actually that shadowy.
Yeah.
Really. What you want is the dog.
Yeah.
So.
And then Wildfire Druid.
So Wildfire Druid turns up and goes, hey, would you like a spirit companion at level 2? Would you like a spirit companion at level 2? And I was like, okay, spirit companion. Let's ignore the fire part. So I looked at it and I've gone, well, what happens if we swap the word fire for shadow and necrotic? So suddenly it's, you can summon a spirit, you know, you can summon a shadow spirit bound to your soul. You know, the wildfire, you can use the use of your wild shape to summon your shadow spirit. Spirit appears in the space occupying near you.
Yeah.
You know, each creature within 10 feet must make a dexterity save against your spell DC or take 2d6 necrotic damage.
Yeah, you can just reskin it.
Yeah, you know, the creature has immunity to necrotic damage rather than fire. It deals necrotic damage instead of fire damage. So this was the thought that I mentioned to you before the stream started, Das, is that...
Yeah.
Basically, I'm now thinking of maybe using this, but just swapping the words so that we have something that kind of fits in with the aesthetic that I'd envisioned.
Yeah.
And it means that I'm not spreading.
And also, like,
it means I'm not spreading the character too thin. Of like, well, I want a bit of sorcerer, but I want a bit of druid, but I want a bit of monk, and it's like, well, that's 3 multi-classes.
Yeah. And also, like, the intent of the spirit is very different from Shadow Sorcerer to Wildfire. So Wildfire, like,
Forbidden Das.
Harsh Das.
This is girls' night.
Like Wildfire, the spirit of the Wildfire actually cares about you and wants to protect you. The dog for Shadow does not. The dog for Shadow is a attack dog.
I mean, the Wildfire spirit can attack. It has attacks.
It can, but like, literally the Shadow Sorcerer, is literally like, you give it a target and it attacks it until it dies.
Yeah.
It's very aggressive.
Which, I mean, which was fine. You know, I talked to Dan, because I talked to Das about the Shadow Sorcerer before, and you know, had talked about having the Shadow Dog before, so that was kind of why it was already rooted in my mind of this kind of thing. So basically, we are sort of reskinning the Wildfire Spirit to look like the Shadow Hound instead.
Yeah.
But mechanically, it could work the same. Yeah, but then it comes to the other things of the Druid Circle spells, you know, you get Burning Hands, and it's like, well, I haven't looked, but I'm sure there's going to be some sort of alternative, maybe, that we could do for that, to give this sort of a Shadow Druid skin.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Yeah, so, and then, we come over to the other half of that, which is Monk. I like the idea. I like the idea of the irony for the start of having Monk, because obviously, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The history of.
Yeah.
Yup.
War flashbacks.
Unspoken history of yup.
Yeah. But then Spook started making his character sheet next to me last week, and I looked over, and he'd gone fighter, but he'd also gone for a half monk, and I was like, oh, that's quite
That's
cool then,
interesting.
because then we have the two kids have both got multi-class
monk,
monk in them,
yeah.
because he was primary fighter, not primary monk.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's interesting. He's gone for drunken master, I believe, for his story of
That's
his
very
character.
funny.
And yeah. Yeah, so I'm currently looking at 2. I'm leaning towards Way of Mercy, which again is sort
I was
of
gonna
leaning
say Mercy
into,
Monk.
again, it's sort of leaning into this healer. So I'm sort of
Yeah, you're like a half healer.
I'm
You're
gonna be a
full half healer.
Yeah. But the other one is the new Tasha's one, the Astral Self one. But I'm like,
Right.
if I'm gonna have the Wildfire Spirit, do I also want Spirit Arms? Is that too much spirit stuff going on?
I don't think there's so much of that. Like, I think you can have as much crazy spirit stuff as you want, but I think Mercy fits aesthetically.
Yeah, because
Like,
Mercy is
because
very
the
much
Wildfire
light
Spirit,
and
you can
dark.
also do damage or heal. Way of Mercy is all about doing damage or healing. So, like, you could skin it all consistently. Whereas I think Astral Self, you would have to do
Yeah.
more tweaking to.
And something I was thinking of as well is, again, sort of which I've done, which I know it's kind of stereotypical, like in some things, but I do like the whole taking things from both parents. So Kika is is a warlock, but she's a Pact of the Blade Spear from her dad because he's a fighter. So I literally thought today of, well, if you've got the shadowiness from Delmara, and what can we get from Alistair? Obviously he was a good fighter, but he was a chosen of Corellan, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, he's a god of light, I believe.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's really cool then, because then if we go for the Way of Mercy, you can literally choose between healing or harming, and I'm like, oh, so now we've got literally a child of light and shadow. Looks at camera.
Yeah.
Looks at camera. So I'm like, oh, this is now starting to come together. Of we've got the light and the darkness together in one thing, and it's like, oh, maybe sometimes it manifests as a light spirit, and sometimes it manifests as a shadow spirit.
Yeah.
That's also interesting. So I'm starting to get these ideas. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
This is the
it was
the
Druid
good
with a
shit.
question mark because it was basically going to be Wildfire Druid, but maybe slightly reskinned.
Yeah. This is the fun stuff.
So this is the fun stuff of having a DM who is open to letting you play around and
Yeah, and
mess with
reskin
things.
whatever the fuck you want, basically. Me and Des, I think, share a policy, which is if it's for the aesthetic, go for it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem I have with Kika, is that I literally wanted pure the aesthetic, and when I ran it plus Spooky, he was like, mechanically this isn't going to be very strong, and I was
This
like,
doesn't make any
"Oh."
sense. I was like, that's fine.
He was like, mechanically this isn't going to be very good, and I'm like, that's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. I have never cared about mechanics, and I don't intend to start now. Okay.
No, don't get all soppy, Das.
Yeah.
No crying. No crying in the chat.
That is a DM mood, though. I get that. I get that a lot.
No.
Moments of crushing emotion where you realise your campaign means things to people.
I literally think the perfect embodiment of that is the not like the actual emoji, but like the drawn emoji you sometimes see on Tumblr of the person who's just like looking at their hands and just sobbing. It's just like
Yeah, it really is. It's a big mood. Realising that the thing you made exists independently in the brains of other people is a wild feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to tell me. This was me who came into work one day to have AJ say, "I've been thinking about this NPC of yours all night," and I was like,
Yes. What do you mean?
My
Do you want to know
heart.
what my moment of that was?
Hmm?
My moment of that, I can't remember what you said. I think it was you, but like I think it was you who made like an in-game correct joke. I kind of still get this every time you guys make jokes that like in the canon of the world make sense. Like it's like you guys actually get this.
I feel like it would be rare for me to make an in-game joke because canonically Tala doesn't.
It
Pay
was something to do
attention.
with fans more.
Canonically, Tala doesn't pay attention to a lot of things because it gets on her nerves.
No. I remember Daswa made one about Nurid and Nunastra, and I'm like, I don't even know how you know that. But you're correct.
So yeah. So going back to the whole level 3 ability thing, that's if I have this Wildfire reskin, then I don't necessarily need to dabble in the Shadow Sorcerer, because honestly the below level 3 things for Shadow
Low level
Sorcerer,
Shadow
they're a bit
Sorcerer
pants.
kind of sucks.
It's like a Shadow Sorcerer.
They're just waiting for you to get the good
Yeah,
shit.
a Shadow Sorcerer really only comes into its own at level 6, which I learned when I played a level 6 one in a one-shot, because I was like, as soon...
Yeah, I've also played one in a one shot.
Yeah, the
This is the
amount-
second time we've referenced Joanna in one stream.
Yeah. It's like
More attention she's
playing
ever
through
had.
that one shot, I used that hound so much, and I was like, wow, if I didn't have this, what would I be? I would really be nothing.
What would it do it? Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Most of my like flavor for Shadow Sorcerer ended up not being Shadow Sorcerer. It was because I was an Asma.
Mm.
Like, I chose the Asma one that's also to do with the Shadowfell, and they ended up. But most of the aesthetic stuff I ended up taking from that rather than the class.
Yeah. So I was looking at... I was scanning through a few level 3 things, and I've kind of got like 3 potential ones. One is literally the basic bitch of I can't decide, which is to take the level 1 rogue's expertise and get some bonuses and some skills.
Yeah.
It's like it's basic, but it's good.
Yeah.
But the other ones I was looking at were...
It's also good if you have a character that you've made that's a lot to do with certain skills. But I'm not getting that vibe from this character.
But the other thing I was looking at was actually the Barbarian. And I get this, not
Oh.
Rage. Rage is apparently
No.
what Spook wants to take. I was actually looking... Das is going, so I'll wait till he gets back.
Yeah, okay. It's a cliffhanger. It's a plot twist. What am I gonna do for the rest of the stream? Let me pull something up. Let me pull up some editing. It's a nice chill thing to do. So I'm just talking about D&D. Focusing too much on what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know. I miss the excitement of making characters you're actually going to use.
It is pretty exciting.
That you can talk to other people about. I make plenty of NPCs, but I can't talk to anyone about them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
as you can tell from the way I've been waffling about this character, as soon as we got onto the topic of, okay, let's talk about their class and their things like that.
Yeah, it's like it's time to go. Oh, I ate all my Lebkuchen. Apologise for scratching noises. Yeah, I ran across my old notes from when I was trying to decide my class race for SKT2, as it was called at the time. And I was like, man, I remember that excitement in the group call. Of everyone being like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And being
What are you
like,
gonna
I'm
do?
not telling you.
We're gonna make babies!
Like that pre-campaign excitement is so real. I miss it. I'm too busy, but I miss it. For now, I will just feed other people vicariously. Please ignore vampire analogy. A damn book. A damn book.
I'm now just trying to think what freaking Valansmore joke I could have made that struck you so
I
hard.
can't remember. It was so like we're talking like early days. But it was like, it wasn't even like necessarily like a great joke. It was just more of like a wink wink nudge nudge. But it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, you like get this. Like, it was something to do with like being frivolous or something. And I was like, oh yeah, like this exists for the rest of you and not just for me. You know? It's hard to explain.
No, I get you.
When you've had a world living in your brain for the better part of 10 years, yeah. And then other people get it. And you're like, oh, this exists for the rest of you. It's not the crazy place I just monologue about in my own brain. Or even like simple stuff, like when you guys remembered what deities are which, or like
Bad example for me.
but I think you did it last that I can remember. Or like when we were talking about like countries and Kay's like, no, that's further south. And that one's to the east. And it's like, yeah, it is.
I know that one I got recently in the dungeon was the college. That was a bit of knowledge that I was able to pull up from like freaking session 1.
Yeah.
when I was just like,
But then I'm always mystified when people pay attention to what I say.
yeah, I mean, he was like Tullius, wasn't it? And I was like, oh, he went to he was well known for his spellcasting, and you were like, what? And I was like, yeah, we've counted that name
Yeah,
before.
I remember. There was that book in the first session, I remember.
There's a book in the first session.
I'm always mystified when people pay attention to what I say.
Tabassum, twice exalted of the Bardic College of Falonsmore.
Yep. But yeah, no. Yeah, it's one thing when people remember what I say about like normal things. It's another thing when people remember what I say about like things that I made. What did I do? Don't know what I did.
As soon as things go back to normal and we can meet up again, I'm just going to walk into a coffee shop and just go, where are my lesbians?
Where are they? Plural.
I intend Annie to be there somewhere.
I contain multiple lesbians inside of me. there are 2 lesbians at war inside me. You have 2 wolves, I have 2 lesbians.
Hello, I'm running around New York with a pack of wild lesbians.
This is a dumb bit.
Abort.
Mentally catalogue. Wait, what did I do again? Was this last session, Das? I'm assuming. Oak art culture is what nightmare was this? Yes, it was. Yes. Yes. Oh, right, yeah. I was so focused on doing the voice acting for that bit that I forgot what I actually said. I'm consistent with my theming. Okay.
Yeah. Where did we leave off? Because we stopped talking so that Das wouldn't miss out. Where did we leave off?
The low level thing you were gonna take.
Right, yeah. Flick through the book. So expertise is like basic, you know, if I can pick. so just getting a buff to some skills was nice. So I actually looked through things of like, what's a good under level 3 thing that's relatively in character. And my eyes actually rested on level 2 danger sense.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's not too strong, but I think it works well. You have an uncanny sense of when to dodge things, when things are as they should be. Give you an edge to dodge away from danger. You have advantage on dex saves against effects that you can see, such as traps and spells. I was like, it's simple, but I kind of like it. You could word that like the spirit is always keeping an eye out, even if it's not active, and just giving you a little bit of a poke of like, hey, there's danger. So I was like, hey, that can work.
Yeah, paranoia, the feat.
Paranoia the feat. So I was like, hey, that sort of works, because it can't take evasion from a rogue, because that's too high level. That's like 7th level.
Right. That works.
And
you got time to fucking think about it.
Yeah, and uncanny dodge is 5th as well, so it's like, well, yeah, they're really strong.
Tomorrow's paranoia is hereditary.
It's hereditary.
Oh,
Yikes.
God.
Don't pass on too much to your kids. Yeesh, here, look at all this.
Too real.
Look at all this emotional baggage.
Too real.
Yikes.
But yeah, no, I think you know what you're doing.
Yeah, because cunning action, not necessarily necessary because I don't know how far I'll go into the monk, and monk get essentially the same
Yeah.
thing. Of you can dash as a bonus action if you expend a key point or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, so I don't want to be taking...
Step of the wind, yeah.
So I don't want to be taking stuff like that if I'm going to be getting it from monk, because I don't know what the level split is going to be at the moment. That will probably depend...
Yeah,
on
that'll
how
depend
things
on
go
how
in
you
the
ended up
campaign.
playing her.
Yeah, it'll depend on the campaign and how I play her, so I was like,
It's like me with Posey at the moment.
don't want to pick something that might potentially have an overlap.
Right.
Do we let Das in? He's going feral.
No, it's my time. I call dibs, damn
I
it.
can talk to you tomorrow, Das.
Yeah.
Are you in work?
God knows you guys have time with this.
Yeah, are you in work? Are you working still, or are you done this side of Christmas? Plus, if I talk to you tomorrow, it means you've had time to mull it over, and you're not just giving your gut reaction.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had to sort of go against with Curls, when she was like, "How about a wildfire druid?" And I was like, "No." And then I had time to think about it, and I was like, "I don't know."
I'm the same though. Like, I have to think about things, otherwise I'm gonna give a dumb answer.
Yeah.
Which is why the law that I always give that is wrong is always the one where I'm like, just give an answer now, don't look it up.
That's something that I learned a lot this year. Is
just think about it.
Yeah, but not even for like game stuff. If we're okay with getting a little real for a second, I sort of talked about this with a couple of people of like trying to learn the habit of someone going, "How are you?" and just going, "I'm okay," without thinking about it.
Big mood. Yep.
Big
mood.
Yeah, it's a real mental battle, but the fight of just like don't just automatically actually stop and think about it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a 2-second pause, just to think, how am I feeling? And
How am I doing?
And honestly, it helps a
And
lot.
the answer that comes out is usually like,
It helps a lot though, even if it's like really.
It does,
like
yeah.
sometimes I feel like even just like a physical description is fine. If I go into work and they go, "Good morning, how are you feeling?" and I sort of think for a minute, I'm just like, a bit warm, slightly queasy, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably nerves.
Yep.
It probably just need a drink, but it's like just talking helps.
And do a mental catalogue.
Yeah.
That's good mindfulness, is what that is.
We are practicing mindfulness.
And meditation's good for something.
Yes, I've been practicing mindfulness heavily because this year has dictated it as
It's
such.
hard.
It is very hard.
It's hard.
Yes,
Shit's hard.
it is
But
very
we're
hard.
all getting through it
We're
some
we're
fucking
working
how.
on it.
We're working on it. We're working on it is like the ultimate answer in my book.
Yeah, and there were a few instances with other people where I'd sort of go, "How are you?" and they'd just go, "Okay," and then I'd leave it a second and then they'd
Yeah.
go, and
Doubt.
they'd go, "I'm okay," and then after a minute I'd just pause and I'd be go, "Okay, now the also replies out your system. How are you actually feeling?
How are you doing?
How are you actually
Yeah.
feeling?"
not to make this too heavy,
Yeah,
but
so-
like
sometimes they
yeah,
work,
I'm
sometimes
also
they work
trying
okay.
to.
Yeah.
I am also trying to like not just be dismissive with shit.
Yeah. It's
like-
yeah, it was like we were saying
If I'm
when we
working through
started
something,
as well.
I'll admit it at this point nowadays.
Yeah, it's good practice to do so. It's like we started at the start of this campaign when we started talking just before we started the stream of learn to take the compliment, learn to accept the yes,
Yeah,
I did
take-
good,
Yes, take the compliment.
I have done something good.
I'm getting better. This is like a good end of year reflective thing. What is something I've got better at this year? I have got better at admitting when I'm struggling, like my brain is latched onto something or like is doing something. But also I can differentiate. I'm being good at being honest about whether that's useful or destructive.
Okay.
So I'm good at being like, I've gotten better. I wouldn't say I'm good, but like with OCART stuff at the minute, it's like, well, I'm working emotionally through a lot of stuff that are connected to OCART. I think it is constructive. You know, whereas like a couple months ago, I'm working through a lot of stuff to do with OCART. I think it is destructive. I think it's just my brain eating itself. You know, like I'm getting there. I'm finding the right level of like, I'm going to be honest about this, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, to come to.
But I'm getting there.
Yeah, to point out what Das is saying is like if you can practice doing it in little bits, then
Yeah.
you can sort of avoid the I need to vent at you, because venting, of course, is literally just bottling up and like, oh, I just need to tell
Yeah.
somebody about this. Whereas if you just sort of drip feed it through over a period, it can help lessen it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to stand on a high ground here, this because I am the most guilty of that. I'm notorious for doing that, but I'm trying.
Yeah. So this year I very much, especially I was taught the hard way at the very start of the year when I had major health issues to
A lot happened, yeah.
to vocalize when things feel wrong and not just try to brush it off as like, you know, are you okay? It's like, oh, I'll be fine in a minute, you don't worry about it. It's better just to say,
Yeah.
actually,
I still do that. It's
Yeah.
rough.
yeah, it's a hard habit to get into because, you know, we don't want to worry people, but we also don't want to worry ourselves.
Yeah, I'll burden people, yeah.
We also don't want to worry ourselves. It's like the slight fear of like, if you
Yeah.
acknowledge something is wrong, then something bad might happen.
It all collapses in on itself,
Yeah,
yeah.
but just the acknowledgement of, actually, I could do with some fresh air. Actually, I don't feel
Yeah.
very well. Actually, could I have some water? Just yeah.
Or I need to have time on my own, or I don't need to be on my own.
Yeah. And sometimes just that especially of like, hey, can I just talk to you for a few minutes?
I want to be in the presence of another human being.
I just
for a
need
while.
someone to talk to for a few minutes because I need to not be trapped inside my own brain.
Yes. Yeah.
So, oof.
Yeah. End of year, you should reflect on the things that you've worked on yourself, even if that's tiny, because God knows with me, it's tiny.
It doesn't matter in this if it's been time, because this has been one hell of a year.
Just making it fucking through
Yeah,
we're a
here
miracle.
now. It's going to be over soon.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. And if the world ends between now and the end of the year, that seems a fitting end. This is about how I thought it would go down.
Yeah, Jesus.
No, mood. Honesty's fucking hard, people.
It is.
It's hard.
And you're
it's
allowed,
hard
but
work.
but you're allowed to acknowledge that it's hard.
Yes. Yeah, I learned my lesson a little bit with that this year.
Yeah, same.
Me, you, going through bad time and learning many things.
The key word that I've said to a couple of people is it's important to vocalize things. Is the thing I keep saying to
Yeah.
people. It's important to say things out loud and get them out there.
Yeah.
Because then you make other people aware of it, but it sort of makes yourself aware of it. Of like, you don't realise that you feel a way until you actually admit, I do feel this way.
Yeah. And it's tough finding that balance between vocalizing things when you don't know what you're feeling, and so you're just kind of yelling at someone, which is it's okay sometimes, but obviously it's not really constructive unless you really need it out of you. To being like to talking with someone about something in a way that helps you understand it or is constructive. Does that make any sense?
I think
Like-
so. I think what you're
Like-
I think what you're describing is therapy.
Yeah, kind of. But also, to some extent, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't articulate things very well. Like, it's, no, I can't articulate this very well. My jaw's doing that thing. This is an example. My jaw's doing that thing where it feels like it's really tight. So I can't articulate it very well. Explain that instead of just doing what I used to do and just going. And being quiet.
Well, that's the thing, Des. It is something that you kind of have to practice and learn, and that's what we're getting at. We've been trying to learn to do that this year.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm good at it, because I'm not. Like, I'm not at a point, but practice and time. Without getting too heavy, because we are live on the internet.
Now is not the time for a break now.
No.
Besides, my days since the breakdown counter has gotten particularly high now. I don't want to lose my streak.
Hey. No comment.
It's almost over.
We're getting there. Right, I'm meant to be doing editing, is what I'm doing. That can be its own thing. I will say though, this year, if nothing else, has taught me like the things that I can really count on to make me happy. If that makes sense. Like, I like, you know, I don't know. I think this is an anxiety thing, but sometimes I'm like, or I used to be like, I'm not sure if I always enjoy this thing, or like where the produces anxiety to I enjoy thing meter is. This year I really learned, and to be honest, most of them went, I enjoy this thing a lot more than the anxiety it produces to me. But I like really learned the things where I'm like, yes, really care about this, brings me a lot of joy. Even if it doesn't always, because I have problems that mean that serotonin button doesn't work sometimes. On the whole, it brings me a lot of joy. So like DMing, being in with D&D, doing D&D with you guys, you know, writing, reading, you know, things where like I would say I enjoyed those things, but I never knew where on the produces anxiety to enjoyment thing it had settled. And it was fun to be, well, not fun, but it was useful to be reminded that I do love these things. And they do matter to me. Which is also difficult to process in its own way, but is ultimately obviously good. Mood does. This whole sentence needs redoing. You're on the outfit part.
Yep. Don't even know where to start. I'm
It's like
I'm kind of like in.
I can
like
I
in
can hear
this-
the referencing.
I'm I'm liking the hair, even though I always do this. Of like,
I do like the hair.
I always do this. Like, I went through freaking college and university game design, and they're like, you create several versions and see which one you like. And I inevitably just make the first one and go, I like that. I mean,
You go with your gut.
I mean,
is the thing.
I've managed to settle on something, the general theme of short hair, slightly longer fringe. I got this little braid in that I'm quite liking.
I like the braid.
Yeah. So that's just this.
It's a little bit more styled than Delmora is.
Yeah, because hers is
That
just
makes
literally.
sense.
Yeah, Dell's hair
Yeah,
wasn't styled.
her hair exists.
Yeah, it's naturally long and straight, and she just left it, and brush it in the morning, and it's good. Because of
Yeah.
because of the druid bit, I want to. It's like it's styled, but it is a little ruffled.
Yeah. It's still a little chaotic, but she has thought about it,
Yeah. Like
or at least like
yeah.
put it out of her way.
Yeah.
You know.
My only thing is maybe the bit at the back is like. Currently, I've put it long. I don't know how long I want it, and I don't know whether it's going to be like a tied up or if it's more of a almost like a shaved in slightly at the back, where it's like been shaved into a point, maybe.
Yeah.
At the back, I don't know. So like
And then
the
just tiny braid.
yeah. So the back of the not even that's like the back of the head literally kind of like comes down to a point, like it's literally been cut instead of having a haircut where it's a straight line of hair. It's actually been cut to a point.
Right. Yeah.
just
I
to be different.
see.
It's kind of like semi. I don't want to say mohawk because it's not really, but it's kind of in a way.
Undercut vibes.
Yeah, slightly undercut.
Yeah.
Sort of like literally this bit here behind the ear has maybe been cut a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably less for a style and maybe more. Again, probably more of like a simplicity thing of like, oh, if I just cut off this entire bit of hair, I haven't got to worry about it.
Yeah.
And like it's covered over by the long bit on top.
Right.
So it's not a visible undercut, maybe.
Yeah. One of the many undercuts I've considered having.
Same. Partially because my hair is so thick and long now, it is
Yep.
sometimes very
It's like a
unmanageable.
furnace. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I know that feeling.
So, like, from the side, you essentially almost end up with a bit of this kind of long mohawk coming down the back. I say long, I doubt it would be as long as Delmora's, where it, like, came down here at points. It would
Yeah,
probably
it's
be,
not like a-
It'd be more of, like, nape of the neck, shoulders, whoops, doing that. Nape of the
Yeah,
neck,
yeah,
shoulders, if that, like, I don't even know if it would maybe... Again, I've got a couple of versions where I'm like, well, should I go just the short? Because there's
Right.
not have there's it without the length, but keeping the braid in. Don't know.
That's also good. I think I almost like the bulk on top.
Yeah, I did bulk it out on top a little bit more.
Yeah, because even if that's not like, what's the word? Like it's not actually long. Just having it a little like
Volume.
spikier and bulkier. Yeah,
Yeah.
volume is what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
volume.
Is I think doing a lot.
Yeah. Yes, that's the braid is very much from Alistair.
Yeah, that's staying there.
Yeah. But from a design standpoint, it comes from Alistair, but obviously from the story standpoint, she doesn't know.
She doesn't know that.
Don't really know him, so that canonically more came from Druidmon, who does have a name somewhere
Yeah.
buried in my lore documents.
I don't remember. Does it start with an L? Don't tell me.
No. God, now you're asking me to go ferreting through my Google
No,
Drive.
don't look it up. Don't.
I'm gonna.
It'll
I'm
take
gonna.
forever.
No, I think I know which document. I think I know which document it's in.
It's in your Master Delmara.
Yeah, I think it's in the master one.
Because you have a thing from the beginning.
God, the fact that I open up my D&D folder and then get faced with 40 more folders is just... ugh.
Yep, same for me. I want to write stuff about stuff so bad. But, like, I don't have... You know.
The L was the father. Delmara's dad was called Lafilreth,
That's it.
and the mother was Merilith. So Merilith is the one who will have put that braid in.
There you go.
There's your bit of lore.
There's your answer. I'm now looking at my D&D folder. What is this? Oh my god. Transcript.
Transcript.
What is this? Do you remember the 21st night? When this is SKT1, when we talked to the Sphinx, and we could only hear one side of the conversation. Like, we only heard what we said, not what they said. And it was all like, what makes you think you're worthy kind of questions. And so, like, Das was like, you only hear what the players say, you don't hear what they ask. So, and I was like, what did we hear? And I actually sat down and wrote it all out. I had to listen to my own voice. Yeah, I straight up put Glory. Ew, I had to listen to my own voice for this. You better be grateful.
Okay, so that's the shorter hair, but with the more volume at the back. With the more volume on top, sorry.
See, I like that.
Do you think...
It's a little poofy.
Yeah. Do you think the braid should go for the short? Because in the on the shorter one, the braid is actually shorter. So you see the braid comes up a little bit there, but on the long
Do that again, sorry?
on the long hair, the braid is
Oh,
longer.
yeah.
Because I feel it can remain independent. It could go either way.
Yeah, it can be whatever. Well, either way, that piece of hair has to be its own length anyway.
Yeah. So that's the short hair with a long braid. Or if I just take the lasso and just grab that, and then we come up, we end up with something more like that. Part of me wants to go longer, you know.
I kind of like the longer, yeah. The shorter looks weird. To me, anyway. Also, then when you have, like, design elements on the, like, actual costume, quote-unquote, then it's still there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if it was short, it would get lost a little.
Yeah.
It would look like an earring.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. Because it also is a nice, almost like inverse counter to Del, because Del has the long strand that comes round in front, and this is a long strand that technically comes round behind, rather.
From the back, yeah.
So that's a nice kind of counteraction.
We like it. We love to see it. I've moved on to self-indulgent Dragon Age things. I apologise. I love my OC, okay?
We all love our OCs.
My Dragon Age OCs I always feel bad for because I can't, like, talk about them. So they just, like, I love you, my children, but you have to stay in the brain. You can't go anywhere. Envious of Dragon Age fans on Tumblr who do, like, elaborate comics and things with their Dragon Age OCs. It's like, I can't do that. This music has gone into, like, straight up ambience, which is nice, but not what I need. 1870s Victorian London thunderstorm. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So,
Narnia music? Now we're fucking
if you're still listening, Das, I realised that I asked you if you were working and then didn't follow up with the fact that I am not working, so we could have a chat, like, at some point during the day
talk tomorrow, yeah. There we go.
Mother, the door is shut. I do not like it. This is your 10-minute. This is your 10-minute warning.
It kind of is.
No, I was being serious.
Yeah.
This is your 10-minute.
Also, chat's 10 minutes warning.
This is your 10-minute warning.
I might just vibe. I've been vibing for a while, but I might just actually legitimately just vibe for 10 minutes. Because I'm not looking forward to tomorrow, so I'm going to enjoy the vibes.
So far in our character design evening, I've only really managed to establish a hairstyle.
Hairstyle. Sometimes that's the most important thing.
It's a good place to start.
Like when I think about Posey, I think about her hair first.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for everyone else.
I mean, it is true.
I've never
With,
thought
it's
to
true
ask.
with Elmara, but that's because obviously a lot of sketches tend to be headshots and start with the head,
Yeah, that's true.
as illustrated from when I was first sketching out the thing. Das was like, "Wait, is this the child?" Because you could just tell
From the hair.
from the distinctive little hair strands. It's like it's just so distinctive for the character that you just identify it.
Right. So with me, with Posey, I'm like, the fringe going down almost over the eyes. I'm like, that's Posey. A dumb fringe. It's like, girl, please cut that. I know you can't see. Yeah, I'm really excited about New Year D&D stuff. I think I said this when you weren't here, but like the gap between Christmas and New Year that doesn't exist.
Yes.
I'm going to dedicate to stay sane through it. I'm going to dedicate to doing Oak Art stuff,
Fair.
and I'm pretty excited about it now that I've had some time not doing Oak Art stuff. What you looking up? This poor candle is down to its last little dregs.
Aww.
I forgot that I was still burning it actually, so it's a good thing I looked over and saw it. It's literally got like that much wax on the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am dying,
Mother! That's what it gets for getting as much wax up the edge of the glass as it did. It did that thing where it burnt at like this angle. I was like, come on! My affection for candles is largely based on how evenly they burn down. If it burns at a really extreme angle, I'm gonna get annoyed. Although letting this one burn like really low has dealt with most of that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that if you can leave, if you can get them to burn for long enough, just the entire thing will become liquid.
Yeah. It's getting there. It's definitely got there.
Try very hard not to hit the mic then.
Ooh, I like the sleeve. What are you looking at?
And the picture of the wildfire druid in the book, just to see what her armor's like.
Hey! I guess druids technically no metal or leather all day, right?
Yeah, lots of leather and fabric, no metal. There aren't like metal fastenings on these. It's mainly the weapon.
Yeah.
It's mainly the metal weapons that they're opposed to.
Mhm.
Weapons and well, they're not even shields. They do use shields.
Like breastplates and stuff. So chaotic. I'm in big, like, I want to make characters vibes now. Just hoarding them at this point. I'm just hoarding them. If they don't
like I
end
said,
up in the NPC pile.
I'm technically currently making a wildfire druid, but I have an idea for another wildfire druid,
The wildfire druid, yeah.
which is the Kitsune character.
Yeah.
Fox lady.
There's a bunch of like classes in Tasha's where I'm like, I want to make a whole character around this class, rather than trying to find having a character and trying to find a class for them. You know, like Mercy Monk, I really love. But then like I feel like the way they skin it in the book is like a plague doctor-y type is really odd to me. But I don't know how else I would reskin it. It's just a very odd class aesthetically. I feel like you can get away with a lot with it. I'll pull up my Tasha's PDF. Where are you, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything? There she is. That's how I talk to my dog. Shouldn't do that. She is. There she is, my queen. Miss Tasha. Character options. Monk. Mercy. The physicians, right? Like. They might be members of a religious order. Grim choice is rooted in reality rather than idealism. Some might be gentle-voiced healers beloved by their communities, while others might be masked bringers of macabre mercies. It's so cool. They usually hide their faces. That's...
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play into that.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't. It's like your second class rather than your
Yeah.
primary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the second class.
So you don't have to take the aesthetics as much as the abilities, right? In my opinion. That's how I always thought multiclassing anyway. I don't know, I love the idea of like a really... I'm literally just throwing out a random character now. But like a really gentle healer type. Who just like... Then you get the good trope of like the really gentle one who, the minute someone gets hurt, like just loses it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Especially because like one of the masks they suggest is a butterfly. That's really cool. Especially because it's a monk, so you would literally have like this really gentle healer type. Like, if someone like, I don't know, hurt somebody or like was not helping in the healing process or whatever, just walks up and punches them in the jaw. Which is beautiful. Proficiency and insight, that's such a good little detail. I don't know why I'm getting this image of like a retired something who's just like settled down in a little witch hut, and it takes, you know, people can come to them for healing. They don't want to get back into adventuring, but then they have to for one reason or another.
It's always a good one.
Yeah. Because it's like, you heal people but through punching. So I like this idea of like a, you know, a brawler who got tired of the life, but like they still only know one way to do things.
I mean,
Not quite Das. She's on a very different level to what I'm picturing.
I've told you several times about the weeb alert, nerd alert. I've told you several times about this scene from freaking Naruto, which for some reason I just really love, because I've talked to you about it with Tala. Which is the scene where this character gets poisoned, and the poison has no cure. So it's like he's gonna die. There's no antidote, so there's no way to counter the poison.
Yeah.
So this girl, who is one of the main characters, ties up her hair, and it's like, you know, she's been trained by arguably the greatest medical healer in the world. So she literally ties up her long hair, rolls up her sleeves, and is like, I am going to remove this poison. And they're like, what? And she goes, I'm going to remove it. And what she does is she grabs water, pushes it through his cells, manipulates the water to latch onto the liquid poison, and then pulls it back out through the cells. It was excruciatingly painful for him, obviously. So it was like, you know, he has to be held down by like 6 people while she's just doing this with this water, which she literally like pulls out, deposits, and is like, you know, safely dispose of that, bring more fresh water, and is like literally there for like a day, because she's doing it like droplet at a time. But she literally pulls the poison from his cells, and I'm just like, that's such a cool scene.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'd love Tala to do, because blood magic.
Yeah.
I'd love Tala
that's
to
how
do
I
that
envision
one day.
blood magic healing working. Because that's how I aestheticked it for Curls. When Curls could heal things.
Yeah, but
It's not like she healed things as much as she like literally forced the skin to like bind to itself by manipulating it.
A lot more
it's like,
pain-
no,
lot-
I love
yeah.
healing, but it's cruel.
Yeah, a lot more painful than a cleric healing you.
Yes,
you
it's
could
not like
make-
you're divinely restored. You're making it fix itself.
You could make something similar for this, because it's ki, which is like energy. So it's like, because it literally says the same energy that you can use to heal, you use to harm. It's literally the same, you just use it differently.
See, that's the good shit. I fucking love blood magic. In any form. Blood clerics, love them. Blood hunters, love them.
Just a little peppering of blood magic.
Little spicy blood magic. This is how my Hawk in Dragon Age 2 looks like. I can't believe I'm about to do this to myself with blue. It's 5+11. Which means I have to go.
No. It means we have to end the stream, which is sensible.
Yeah. Unfortunately, chat, I need sleep today.
Important
I normally
things.
don't, but today I do actually need sleep. I think you made good progress on this.
I like this kind of... It's not a cloak.
Cowl you got
Cowl?
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little shoulder thing.
Little shoulder cowl.
Grandma's like, you need to have a scarf.
I had a hoodie that could do this once.
You need to have a scarf
You
or you'll get cold.
Fold it and then tie it there. It's my Dark Brotherhood one. The one that looked like Dark Brotherhood armor.
So I like the open sleeve, but because the monk is the secondary class, I don't want to make it look too much like a monk. I want to have the more of the druid aspect.
Yeah.
So
I like it. It's very like earthy.
good. That's what I want. Yeah, you can see there the stats that I rolled. We didn't
Yeah.
we didn't address that, but that's what I rolled. So
Yeah, that's
obviously
good. That's a
with
good
a
spread.
druid monk, that 16 is begging to be the wisdom,
Yeah.
and one of those 14s will be the dex.
Yeah.
Give or take modifiers.
Good shit.
Oh, hello,
Chat, I'm going to
Noisy.
close you now.
Have you come
Hey.
to say goodbye? Oh, Jesus. You're so
Oh,
elegant.
she's come to say goodbye to me, but she's angry.
Oh, here she comes. Hello. Oh, very unhappy
Oh,
tonight. Do not want to be
baby.
on camera.
Does not wish to be here. Well, I appreciate you coming to say goodbye, Sadie. I could use the moral support.
Oh, you're very grumpy tonight.
Oh, she's angry.
Ever so grumpy tonight. Okay, I'm gonna put
I can see her seething.
Go on then, I'll put you down. There you go.
Seethe.
Do not sit on the books. Remove those. Whenever Spook goes to bed, I use his chair as a secondary desk.
More table, yeah. Big mood.
It's easier than constantly bending down to the floor.
I do it with the thing of drawers that's by my bed. I pull some of them out and use them as surface because they're full. Right,
Right,
we gotta go.
Yeah, I yawned. That was a big yawn I just stifled, so clearly I should also go to sleep.
Also sleep.
Yep. So, thanks everybody for coming.
It was a bit of a weird one, but it was good.
It's been good. It's, you know, making characters and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And a big thanks to Nemo if he's still here for all the subs that you gifted. You don't
Yeah.
have to, but thank you. Mwah. Really appreciate it. And we made. I don't know what's going to happen next week, so this may be a case of we'll see you. in
No
the
idea.
This might be a case of we'll see you in the new year for art streams, or maybe we'll get one in next week. Who knows? Don't know.
You know, keep an eye on Twitter
Yeah, just keep an eye on Twitter on Tuesday evening.
or Blue's channel.
Keep an eye on here, sort of between 7:30 and 8 Tuesday. You'll see.
And have a good Christmas if you celebrate it. Even if it's going to be a weird one this year. God knows it's going to be a weird one for me.
Aww.
So it's going to be a weird one, but have a good time anyway.
Yes.
Do something you love.
Play D&D.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Yeah, play D&D.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Mwah.